Chapter 890. He was poisoned. It was impossible for Ma Zhu to kill him, but it was even more impossible for him to defeat Ma Zhu. Lin Yi didn't even dare to attack Ma Zhu now. It would be a waste of effort if he attacked him, and it would reflect back to him. Ma Zhu saw that Lin Yi was dodging here and there, but he wasn't angry at all. He only laughed coldly, jumping up and down. What's the difference between you and that dog? If you have the guts, then keep jumping. On the other side, General Wei Wu had successfully killed all the members of the firearm team. He wagged his tail and ran over, wanting to help Lin Yi. Go protect Yao Yao and Shu, you can't handle this place, Lin Yi ordered General Wei Wu. In this place, even Lin Yi couldn't do anything to Ma Zhu, let alone General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu heard Lin Yi's words and quickly came to Meng Yao and Yu Shu's side. He used his teeth to bite off the ropes on them. Lin Yi looked at Meng Yao and Yu Shu. He was relieved after seeing that the ropes on them were untied. While he was dodging Ma Zhu, he shouted to Meng Yao, "Yao Yao, leave with Shu and General Wei Wu first." But, Lin Yi, you. Meng Yao was worried about Lin Yi. How could she leave him alone and leave by herself? You leave first. If you leave, I can run away any time. Lin Yi was panicking. After fighting with Ma Zhu for so long, he still couldn't do anything. He, they dare? Ma Zhu said confidently. If they dare to leave, I'll kill them first. You can dodge my attacks, but what about them? Ha 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 ha. Lin Yi frowned after hearing Ma Zhu's words. He could only give up on the idea of letting Meng Yao leave first. It seemed like Ma Zhu wasn't an idiot. He knew that after Meng Yao and Yu Shu left, there was no need for him to fight anymore. He would only stay here if Meng Yao and Yu Shu were here. However, there was nothing Lin Yi could do. Ma Zhu was right. He could totally leave and kill Meng Yao and Yu Shu right now because he wasn't afraid of his ambush. Lin Yi couldn't do anything to him at all. We'll wait for you, we'll go home together. Meng Yao heard Ma Zhu's words and let out a sigh of relief. She didn't want to leave first. Now that she couldn't leave, she felt relieved. Come on, shield bro. Beat the crap out of this idiot. Yu Shu joined in. Humph. Ma Zhu snorted coldly, but he didn't want to argue with the two little girls. What he wanted to do now was to kill Lin Yi. Brat, let's see if you will die this time. Dash, Lin Yi dodged Ma Zhu's attack again, but it was extremely dangerous. He was almost hit by Ma Zhu's attack. What was going on? Why did his reaction become so slow? Could it be that his stamina was depleted? That was impossible? How was this even possible? He wouldn't be depleted even after running for tens of thousands of meters. He only dodged a few attacks from Ma Zhu. How could he be depleted? Ka! Lin Yi's left shoulder was scratched by Ma Zhu's palm, and a piercing pain immediately spread throughout Lin Yi's entire shoulder. Instantly, Lin Yi saw his shoulder swollen. If he wasn't wrong, his bones had been fractured by Ma Zhu. Lin Yi looked at Ma Zhu in shock. What was going on? Why did his movement become so slow? He was actually hit by Ma Zhu. What was going on? How is it? It feels good, right? It's just that I didn't hit your vital parts. But it's okay, I have patience. You will slowly die from my torture. Ma Zhu looked at Lin Yi's swollen shoulder and revealed a sinister smile. Feels good, doesn't it? Lin Yi frowned. He felt that his steps were getting heavier and heavier. Lin Yi was always confident in his qinggong and stamina. But now, not only did his qinggong deteriorate, even his stamina was showing signs of exhaustion. Lin Yi knew something was wrong. If he continued like this, he would definitely die. He quickly started channeling the art of dragon mastery, checking his injuries. Wait! Suddenly, Lin Yi found something wrong with his body. Poison! He was poisoned. Lin Yi's face suddenly turned very bad. He thought of a possibility. The bullets were poisoned? Poison? Ma Zhu was slightly stunned. Obviously, he didn't know. Ha 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 ha. Jianghu suddenly laughed after hearing Lin Yi's words. He laughed happily. I thought you weren't afraid of poison. It didn't happen for so long and I thought this poison was useless to cultivators like you. So it's just a delay. I was wondering why you became so stupid. It's because the poison is acting up. Wahaha. It's really poisonous. Lin Yi gritted his teeth and breathed heavily. He didn't expect Jianghu to be so cunning and smeared poison on the bullets. Master Ma, The poison is acting up. Kill him now. Xianxia didn't think there was anything wrong with what he did. From his point of view, killing Lin Yi was the most important goal. Moreover, he felt that he was extremely wise at this moment. If Lin Yi wasn't poisoned, Ma Zhu wouldn't be able to do anything to him if he jumped up and down. Although Ma Zhu was strong, Lin Yi's qinggong was good and he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi at the moment. But now that Lin Yi was poisoned, his movements had slowed down. Lin Yi's death, from his point of view, was only a matter of time before he died. Ma Zhu nodded. Although he despised the poisoning, it was annoying that the kid jumped around in front of him and dodged every attack. Therefore, it was a good thing that Lin Yi was poisoned. Was he going to die here today? Lin Yi gritted his teeth as he looked at the miss, then at Yushu. If he ran now, Lin Yi believed that Ma Zhu wouldn't be able to catch up with him. But what about Miss? But if he didn't leave, would Ma Zhu let Miss go after he killed him? He probably would, right? Otherwise, if Xianxia wanted to kill Meng Yao and Yushu, they would already be dead bodies before he arrived. But Xianxia didn't do that, which meant that he only wanted to kill him and not Meng Yao and Yushu. If he died, it would cause far less trouble than Meng Yao and Yushu. From Xianxuan's point of view, he was only Meng Yao and Yushu's follower. It didn't matter if a follower died, but if Peng Zhan's daughter died, it would be a big deal. With that thought, Lin Yi calmed down. Chapter 891. Learn to take care of yourself. My golden bell shield is flawless, unless your level is higher than mine. You're already at the peak of the early phase of mystic division at such a young age. Qu'est-ce. What a genius. Maybe you can surpass me in a few years, but I'm afraid you won't be able to see that day. This day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Higher level. Higher. Suddenly, a possibility flashed across Lin Yi's mind. Wait. Lin Yi suddenly smiled. He looked at Ma Zhu with a weird smile. He couldn't leave today, so even if he were to die, he would drag someone down with him. Yao Shu. Lin Yi turned around and looked at Meng Yao and Yushu. Meng Yao and Yushu also noticed that Lin Yi's smile was weird and didn't know what Lin Yi wanted to do. You have to learn to take care of yourself in the future. Lin Yi smiled. Meng Yao and Yushu paused, not understanding why Lin Yi would say something like that at a time like this. However, Lin Yi didn't explain. In the next moment, Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Ma Zhu. What a joke. He had been looking for Ma Zhu's weakness but couldn't find it. He didn't expect Ma Zhu to expose his weakness in the end. What are you laughing at? Ma Zhu froze. Lin Yi's smile gave him goosebumps. Wahahaha, Master Ma, this brat was preparing for his death. Xianxia suddenly laughed. He was the first to understand what Lin Yi meant. Meng Yao and Yushu immediately understood after Xianxia reminded them. Was Lin Yi preparing for his death? Lin Yi, go. Don't care about us, go. Meng Yao shouted at Lin Yi crazily. However, Lin Yi turned a deaf ear to him. A strange smile hung on his face, and his hands were in an extremely strange position. Tears blurred Meng Yao's vision. She didn't expect Lin Yi to die for her and Shu. The young lady shouted at Lin Yi hoarsely. You idiot! I gave you 30,000 yuan and you went to die. No wonder Xianxia called you an idiot. You big idiot. Yushu held Meng Yao's hand tightly, not saying a word. Although she was usually carefree, she was extremely anxious at this moment. Humph, it seems like you have some awareness. Ma Zhu laughed. Don't worry, go to hell. We won't touch those two little girls. We'll let them leave safely. Lin Yi didn't say anything. His hands were still in a very strange position. No one knew what he was doing. What? What do you mean by that? Do you still want to perform a heroic deed before you die? Ma Zhu looked at Lin Yi in confusion. His tone was filled with impatience. Lin Yi had worn out all his patience. He couldn't wait to kill Lin Yi in the next second. Heh, even if I die, I want to die in a grand way. I'm going to attack. The smile on Lin Yi's face slowly disappeared as he walked towards Ma Zhu step by step. Attack. Haha, alright, since you want to attack, no problem. Ma Zhu wasn't afraid of Lin Yi. As a master of the 8th level of the Golden Shield, he didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. Heh! Lin Yi's movements suddenly sped up. He rushed towards Ma Zhu, but his hands were still in the strange position. Ma Zhu's lips curved into a mocking smile. Have you played too much Street Fighter? But I have to say, your move before you die looks pretty grand. As he spoke, Ma Zhu swung his right fist, ready to take Lin Yi's strange move. Grand. Maybe. What's even more grand is yet to come. Lin Yi's lips curved into a determined smile. He suddenly put his hands together and pushed them out. It looked like a move from Street Fighter. Haha. Ma Zhu's fist was about to hit Lin Yi's palms. He was about to hit Lin Yi. However, at this moment something happened. A loud boom sounded like a detonator exploding between Ma Zhu and Lin Yi. Along with the earth-shattering sound of thunder, a strong heat wave pushed Lin Yi away. The huge explosion reverberated in the valley. Jianghu was shocked, and Meng Yao and Yushu were also shocked, speechless. The heat wave from the explosion made Meng Yao and Yushu breathless even though they were far away. Jianghu was pushed to the ground by the heat wave. Although General Wei Wu was in a better condition than the three of them, he still stared blankly at the direction of the explosion. At the place where Lin Yi and Ma Zhu stood, dust flew everywhere. The sky was filled with flying sand and stones. They couldn't see what happened. The destructive energy shook the entire mountain. No one knew what happened. Jianghu opened his mouth wide and stared at the place where the explosion happened. He hoped that it was the shock brought by Ma Zhu killing Lin Yi. However, Jianghu didn't know why, but he felt that something was wrong. He felt that there was something wrong with this. How could Ma Zhu cause such a huge commotion? But if it wasn't Ma Zhu, was it Lin Yi? That was even more impossible, right? Yao sis, where's Shield Bro? Will he be okay? Yushu stared at the scene of the explosion blankly. She sounded sad. Meng Yao didn't say anything. She didn't know what kind of feeling she had in her heart. Did it happen? Did it finally happen? Did Lin Yi die with his opponent? That was the only thought in Meng Yao's mind. Lin Yi's words seemed to be ringing in her ears, telling them to take care of themselves in the future. In the next moment, he disappeared? No. Meng Yao couldn't accept the reality in front of her. Lin Yi couldn't die. However, at this moment, Meng Yao lost her voice. She didn't know what to say and she didn't know what to say. Things had exceeded her expectations. It was too much. She had never experienced a life and death parting like this. At this moment, her fragile heart was broken. The flying sand and pebbles that filled the sky finally dissipated slowly. The dust in the air also became lighter and lighter. Amidst the scattered pebbles, a figure stood upright. Although he was not tall, his entire body was emitting a formidable aura. His shirt had already been torn to shreds and his exposed upper body was covered with streaks of blood. It was a ghastly sight. It seemed like a gust of wind could blow him down, but when the wind blew, the figure still stood straight. Chapter 892. Energy Bomb, huh? Meng Yao looked at the messy figure and laughed. Humph, I knew this guy wouldn't die. He's just a liar. Oh, Yao sis, you don't mean what you said. You were so nervous just now. Yushu exposed Meng Yao's lie. Meng Yao glared at Yushu and ignored her. Jianghu was dumbfounded. Where was Ma Zhu? Where did Ma Zhu go? A master with golden bell shield at the peak of the middle phase of Mystic Division. How did he disappear all of a sudden? Jianghu widened his eyes and searched the area. However, other than Lin Yi, Ma Zhu was nowhere to be seen. After a while, another figure climbed up from the ruins. This person was Ma Zhu. However, Ma Zhu looked horrifying at this moment. Half of his arm was completely gone, and his ribs were completely caved in. It could be said that the right half of his body had become a pile of rotten meat. Even the right side of his face was no longer recognizable. If it wasn't for the fact that there was no one else here, no one would be able to recognize that this person was Ma Zhu. Fresh blood flowed out of his wound, and his white bones could be vaguely seen. What the hell? That's amazing. He's not dead even after being blown up like this? Yushu was surprised at Ma Zhu's tenacious vitality. Ma Zhu's eyes were filled with astonishment. He no longer had the arrogance from before. He couldn't believe that he was actually injured, and it was so serious. It was too miserable. How was this possible? He was a master with the 8th level of Golden Bell Shield and Lin Yi was only a spiritual master at the peak of the early phase of Mystic Division. How could he hurt him? Ma Zhu could proudly say that normal bullets wouldn't be able to hit him, but now, he was injured, and it was a very serious injury. The right half of his body was blown up. His right arm was gone and even his entire shoulder was gone. The right side of his face was a bloody mess and his right leg was only left with white bones. He was barely able to stand up now. Impossible. Impossible. This can't be real. You can't hurt me. Ma Zhu couldn't believe it. He really couldn't. Idiot. Lin Yi glanced at Ma Zhu indifferently. I already told you that I was going to use my ultimate skill, but you didn't dodge it. Do you think you have a lot of HP? Impossible. This is impossible. Ma Zhu was going crazy. He couldn't accept the reality in front of him. Although Lin Yi looked to be in a sorry state, although Lin Yi had a lot of wounds on his body, he didn't lose an arm or a leg. As for himself, Ma Zhu couldn't accept it. His golden bell shield's 8 layers were all destroyed in an instant. His many years of cultivation and his childhood dreams were all shattered at this moment. The body of a physical master was as important as the meridians of an internal master. Once the body was heavily injured, even if it recovered, it would be impossible to regain its previous strength. Especially for someone like Ma Zhu, whose entire body was blown to pieces. His golden bell shield was completely broken. Even if the body recovered, the newly grown flesh and skin would be no different from before. It would be no different from an ordinary person. Even if there was a little bit of golden bell shield left on the left side of his body, what use would it be? If he went out to fight, could he stop the enemy from attacking his right side? Lin Yi didn't bother with Ma Zhu anymore. He had to scare Ma Zhu and Jianghu away as soon as possible. He knew his own strength. He was only able to stand up now with his last breath. His entire body was like a crossbow. The attack just now was the result of Lin Yi sucking out all the energy in his body, compressing it and releasing it in an instant. Lin Yi had tested this kind of energy bomb on Yukuan once and it was quite effective. However, the amount of energy used to destroy Yukuan's meridians was far less than what he used today. This time, it was Lin Yi's crazy and risky decision. He had no other choice but to do it. Ma Zhu was a practitioner of the Golden Bell Shield. No matter what kind of attack Lin Yi used, it was useless against him. Even sneak attacks and assassinations were useless because Ma Zhu wasn't afraid of being attacked at all. Just when Lin Yi was anxious and helpless after being poisoned, Ma Zhu exposed his weakness and said something. Perhaps Ma Zhu didn't think there was anything wrong with what he said, but it gave Lin Yi a huge inspiration. Ma Zhu said that the Golden Bell Shield was flawless unless Lin Yi's level was higher than his. From Ma Zhu's perspective, Lin Yi's strength couldn't be higher than his. If Lin Yi was, he would have won a long time ago. However, Lin Yi didn't think so. Although his strength wasn't as high as Ma Zhu's, after the energy was compressed, the power it produced was multiplied. Ma Zhu had the Golden Bell Shield to protect his body. Lin Yi couldn't use the energy to destroy Ma Zhu's internal organs and meridians like what he did to Yukuan. He could only use a bigger explosion of energy to destroy Ma Zhu's body. Lin Yi wasn't sure if this method would work, and he wasn't sure what kind of negative consequences it would bring to him. This was because even if he quickly retreated the moment he released the energy, the remaining energy from the explosion could still affect him. In order to injure Ma Zhu, Lin Yi had no choice but to use the last bit of energy in his body. With the thought of success or failure, he released the scariest energy bomb in history. Fortunately, he succeeded. Ma Zhu was crippled by the explosion. His Golden Bell Shield was directly destroyed by his own energy. However, even so, the defense of Ma Zhu's Golden Bell Shield still made Lin Yi speechless. Lin Yi knew clearly how powerful the energy bomb was. There was a deep pit in front of them. The cut was smooth and straight as if it was cut by a sharp sword. The rock was like that, but Ma Zhu was only injured and not dead. Lin Yi didn't know if Ma Zhu still had the ability to fight, but he knew that he didn't. If it wasn't for his strong willpower, he wouldn't be able to last until now, let alone stand up. However, he had to stand up and pretend that he wasn't injured. He had to scare Ma Zhu and Jianghu away. Otherwise, he, Meng Yao, and Yushu would all be in danger. So Lin Yi ignored Ma Zhu and turned to Jianghu. He said coldly, "Now it's your turn." Chapter 893. How about juice? Don't come near me. Jianghu stepped back subconsciously. Suddenly, he saw Meng Yao and Yushu from the corner of his eyes. He quickly pulled out a gun from his waist and sprinted over, aiming at Meng Yao. "Don't come over. Surrender now or I'll kill her. Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect Xianxia to react so violently. He must be scared out of his wits. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. Did he overshoot himself? He wanted to scare Xianxia and ask him to leave with Ma Zhu so that he could find a place to heal himself. He didn't expect Xianxia to threaten Meng Yao with a gun instead. Bang! A muffled sound was followed by a heart-wrenching scream. It wasn't a gunshot, but the sound of bodies colliding. In the next moment, Xianxin's gun fell to the ground. He covered his crotch with both hands, his eyes popped out, and he panted heavily as he screamed in pain. Yeah. Wuxia made a V shape with her hand and clapped. I'm so good, I kicked Xianxia into a real eunuch. Wuxia used all her strength in her kick and Xianxia was in a tragedy. He didn't expect a weak girl to attack him first. Wasn't she afraid that he would shoot? However, he was in so much pain that he couldn't ask the question. Meng Yao smiled but she still felt that Wuxia was too reckless. Shu, aren't you afraid that he will shoot me? You are so brave. How are you going to be the mistress if I die? Oh, Yao sis. You finally decided to marry me? Wuxia said happily. He can't kill you because he didn't turn on the safety. I observed him before I kicked him. How did you know? Meng Yao was surprised. She didn't expect Shu to be so reckless. She did it after observing him carefully. My brother brought me to the army to play with guns. Wuxia picked up Xianxin's gun on the ground. Look, Yao sis, the safety is here. Don't move, the gun might go off by accident. Meng Yao said worriedly to Wuxia. Throw it away. Wuxia pulled the trigger just as Meng Yao finished her sentence. Oh! Wuxia stuck her tongue out as she tossed the gun to the ground. It really did go off. Ouch! Xianxia rolled his eyes and almost cried. He'd been hoping that Wuxia's kick wouldn't cause him any serious internal injuries, and he'd just have to get Yao Wang to take a look at him. Maybe he'd be able to recover, but Wuxia had shot him in the crotch. That hope had been dashed to smithereens. The gun was fired by accident, and it was quite accurate. Although Ma Zhu's body was in pain, he couldn't watch Wuxia kill Xianxia. His boss told him to protect him. He couldn't run away alone. With that thought, Ma Zhu gritted his teeth and flew over. He picked up Xianxia and glared at Lin Yi with hatred before quickly descending the mountain. Ma Zhu didn't know why Lin Yi didn't kill Xianxia. It was probably the same reason why Xianxia didn't dare to kill Meng Yao and Wuxia. With that thought he was relieved. At least Lin Yi wouldn't chase after them. He didn't know that Lin Yi couldn't kill him even if he wanted to now. Just as Ma Zhu left, Lin Yi finally couldn't take it anymore and fell to the ground. Huh? Where's Shield Bro? Wuxia wanted to cheer for Lin Yi, but in the blink of an eye, Lin Yi disappeared. Lin Yi! Meng Yao's eyes were sharp and she saw Lin Yi fall to the ground. She ran over subconsciously. Lin Yi, how are you? At this moment, Lin Yi's face was pale. His eyes were slightly closed, but he didn't faint. He said in a weak voice, help me to a quiet place, I need to heal. Okay. Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi wasn't dead and she was overjoyed. She quickly reached out to help Lin Yi. But Lin Yi was simply too weak. He didn't have an ounce of strength left in his body. He tried to stand up with Meng Yao's help, but he couldn't. Meng Yao saw how weak Lin Yi was and her heart ached. She wanted to carry him, but she hesitated. She wasn't his girlfriend, it wasn't good to hug him. If this news got out, how could she get married in the future? Meng Yao valued chastity very much. This was also the reason why she had such an intense reaction when she kissed Lin Yi. She felt that a girl should be loyal to one person. The only person who could be intimate with her was her boyfriend, her future husband. However, Lin Yi became like this because of her. He almost gave up his life to defeat Ma Zhu. Why should she care about this? At most, she wouldn't marry anyone. If no one wanted her, she could just marry Lin Yi. Besides, when she was in the hospital, he had already seen her naked. Why should she care about this? Even Meng Yao herself jumped in fright at the thought. Was this what she was thinking? Meng Yao was confused about her future. Looking at Wuxia, Meng Yao gritted her teeth and reached out to carry Lin Yi. However, she realized that Lin Yi was too heavy. If she carried him alone, she was afraid that she would fall on Lin Yi. She could only say, Shu, come help me. What are you standing there for? Oh, I thought Yao Yao sis wanted to monopolize shield bro. Yushu quickly ran over to help. Meng Yao was speechless. She and Yushu carried Lin Yi to the cave and placed him on the ground carefully. Then she asked, "All right, what should I do now?" "Use a knife to cut open the gunshot wound on my leg. Take out the bullet and let out the poisonous blood. Clean it." Before Lin Yi entered the jade space, he had to take out the poisonous bullet. Although according to Lin Yi's judgment, the poison on the bullet wasn't too strong or he would have died a long time ago, he couldn't be careless. Who knew if there would be trouble after a long time? "Shoo, go get the mineral water," Meng Yao said hurriedly. "Ah, but Yao Yao sis, the mineral water was poured out earlier. Look, there's still water." Yushu's face was bitter. She pointed at her masterpiece and said, "Is juice okay?" Meng Yao was speechless. She looked at Lin Yi and asked. Chapter 894. Or it'll be a loss. "Oh, I'll go get some now then." Yushu, on the other hand, was worried about Lin Yi's injuries as well. She got up to get some water from the bottle. "Let General Wei Wu stay with you. It can find you and keep you safe," Lin Yi said. Okay. Yushu ran out of the cave and went to get water with General Wei Wu. What do I do now? Meng Yao had never experienced something like this before, and she didn't know what to do. Yushu was gone, and she didn't know what to do. "There's a dagger on the side of my shoe. Take it out, cut open the wound on my leg, and take the bullet out." Lin Yi really didn't have any strength left. It was already a miracle that he was able to talk without fainting. "Okay." Meng Yao didn't dare delay. She bent down and found a dagger on the side of Lin Yi's shoe. She looked at the wound on Lin Yi's leg and hesitated. "You take off your pants? You're not helping me?" Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He didn't have the strength. If it weren't for the urgency of the situation, Lin Yi wouldn't have let Meng Yao do something like this. She was a newbie, and she didn't even know how to remove a bullet. Lin Yi was worried that she wouldn't be able to do it. But Lin Yi really had no other choice. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to last until reinforcements came down the mountain. He had to get the poison out of his body before he fainted. "Oh!" Meng Yao blushed. She knew that Lin Yi didn't have the strength to take off his pants, but it was embarrassing for her to do it for him. The miss clenched her teeth and used her trembling hands to touch Lin Yi's belt, but because of her nervousness, she couldn't open the belt buckle no matter how hard she tried. She was so anxious that her forehead was covered with sweat. She didn't want to waste time, but the more anxious she was, the more mistakes she'd make. Meng Yao almost bit her lip. "There's a bayonet at the side. Just open it." Lin Yi looked at Missy's flushed face and really wanted to bite her. She's so cute." "Oh." Meng Yao followed Lin Yi's instructions, a little embarrassed. She unbuckled the belt, but her movements paused. The eldest miss had never thought that one day, she would have to take off her pants for a man. However, this scene did not happen on their wedding night, but in a run-down cave. Moreover, the two of them were not going to do such a beautiful thing. Meng Yao clenched her teeth and pulled down Lin Yi's pants. Lin Yi found the miss expression funny. Why was she acting like a gangster? Inside the trousers, Lin Yi was only wearing a pair of shorts. The young miss's heart was in her throat again. She didn't dare to look, but she had to because right now, time was life. The miss was very clear about this. Can you open your legs?" The miss pursed her lips, completely different from her usual self. At this moment, she was like a shy little wife, looking at Lin Yi. She wanted to reject him, but at the same time, she wanted to welcome him. Lin Yi moved his legs with difficulty, and Meng Yao suddenly realized that Lin Yi was injured. How could he move? She quickly reached out to help Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi tried his best to open his legs, and Meng Yao also wanted to help Lin Yi. The two of them moved at the same time, and Meng Yao's hand touched something she shouldn't have touched. And so, Lin Yi had a very evil and disappointing reaction. And then, the miss face turned even redder, like a cooked lobster. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. How could he have a reaction in this situation? This was too evil. Meng Yao didn't know what to do. The impact of today's events was too big. "You touched me in the hospital, and today, I'm the one who's at a disadvantage." Meng Yao incoherently tried to defend herself from the embarrassment. Lin Yi looked at the miss who was using such a weak excuse to defend herself. He found it funny. So the miss had such a cute side to her. Under her usual cold appearance, there was a cute and passionate heart. Okay. But I can't hold it anymore. After you help me take out the bullet, you can touch me however you want. Lin Yi also joked. Although Lin Yi's joke was a little inappropriate, it became an important spice in the atmosphere. Meng Yao heard Lin Yi's words and glared at Lin Yi. She laughed and raised the dagger in her hand. Do something naughty again and I'll cut you. Meng Yao wouldn't have said something like this if this was a different time and place. But with Lin Yi's joke, Meng Yao regretted it as soon as she said it. She shut her mouth after saying it. But these few jokes made Meng Yao let go of her shyness, and she started to study Lin Yi's wound. What do I do? Meng Yao asked. Cut open the wound and take out the bullet. Lin Yi said. How do I do that? Meng Yao didn't know where to start. Whatever you like, do it however you want. Lin Yi said. Does it hurt? Meng Yao couldn't bring herself to do it. Yes, but if you don't do it, I might die from the poison. Lin Yi frowned. I don't know what poison Jianing Jun made, but it has a suppressive effect on the human nervous system. If I don't take it out, there might be a problem. Lin Yi was afraid that he would go into a coma after the poison took effect instead of entering the jade space. Fainting from exhaustion was different from fainting from being poisoned. Lin Yi didn't dare to take the risk. Meng Yao heard that Lin Yi would die if she didn't take out the bullet. She was so scared that she didn't care anymore. She clenched her teeth and held the dagger in her hand. She started cutting the wound on Lin Yi's leg with trembling hands. Miss, you need to use more strength, be more ruthless. You're playing with death by 1,000 cuts right now. Lin Yi was speechless as he watched Meng Yao cut herself bit by bit. This is one of the 10 great tortures of the Qing dynasty. Meng Yao's face reddened as she nodded. She finally increased the strength of her grip, but it was more of a test than anything else. Luckily, Lin Yi's dagger was fast and Lin Yi's endurance was strong. Otherwise, he would have collapsed. The wound was finally cut open by Meng Yao. She could vaguely see the bullet inside, but Meng Yao didn't know how to do it. After all, she didn't have any tools like tweezers. She couldn't just use her hands to cut it, could she? Now I can see the bullet, but how do I take it out? Meng Yao asked hesitantly. Chapter 895. Yao Yao is so strong, ugh. Meng Yao hesitated before lowering her head and sucking on Lin Yi's wound. She couldn't think of anything else other than that. Meng Yao didn't dare make too big a cut on Lin Yi's thigh. She felt that the only way to suck the bullet out was with her mouth, as well as the poisoned blood around it. Meng Yao didn't even think about whether or not it would be inappropriate to do that. She could feel that Lin Yi's voice was getting weaker and weaker, and she couldn't care less about anything else. It didn't take long for the bullet to come out, much to Meng Yao's relief. She spat it out and started sucking the poisoned blood out of Lin Yi's wound. Yushu and General Weiwu didn't dare tarry after getting some water from the stream. They rushed back to the cave, only to see a scene that left Meng Yao's mouth agape. Holy shit, Yao Yao, you're so strong. You're helping Shield Bro. Yushu cried out in surprise. You want to repay him with your body now? But you can't, Shield Bro's injured. He's really weak. Stop, let him recover first. Yushu couldn't be blamed for her quick image. Meng Yao's back was facing the cave entrance, and her head was buried between Lin Yi's thighs. Lin Yi, on the other hand, wasn't wearing any pants. It was hard not to misunderstand this scene. Meng Yao didn't understand Yushu's words at first, but the latter part made sense. She almost choked on Lin Yi's poisoned blood as she stood up and spat it out, glaring at Yushu. Shu, what the hell are you talking about? I'm giving Lin Yi drugs. Yushu blinked, realizing that she'd misunderstood when she saw that Shield Bro was still wearing his underwear. I see. Heh. Yao Yao, here's some water, I brought it. Meng Yao glared at Yushu, but couldn't help but shake her head with a bitter smile as she thought about how intimate their position was. Luckily, it was only Shu who'd seen it. Someone else would have walked away a long time ago if it had been anyone else. Meng Yao cleaned Lin Yi's wound and stood up. She wasn't in the mood to argue with Shu about what happened before. She asked hurriedly, is there any bandage I can use? Nope. Sanitary napkins work? Yushu said weakly after rummaging through her bag for a while. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. That's a bloodsucker, right? I don't think so. I don't think so, but Shield Bro's wound doesn't seem to be bleeding anymore. Yushu said, surprised. Meng Yao turned her head back and saw that the wound on Lin Yi's leg had stopped bleeding. She let out a sigh of relief. Then we'll stick a sanitary pad on it first. We'll carry him down the mountain. Lin Yi's body had been soaked in all kinds of medicine since he was young, so his self-healing ability was quite good. Stopping the bleeding was a piece of cake. Just as Meng Yao and Yushu were talking, Lin Yi finally fainted. He was simply too tired, and his stamina was severely depleted. The next moment, Lin Yi entered the jade space. This was the only thing that Lin Yi could rejoice about. He could still enter the jade space. Lin Yi was afraid that he'd be poisoned too deeply and wouldn't be able to connect to the jade space if he fainted. Phew! Lin Yi thanked his lucky stars. He saw Jiao Lao in the jade space and couldn't help but grin. I didn't think that I'd be able to see you again. I really didn't. I thought that you'd die for sure. Jiao Lao nodded in agreement. But I didn't think that you'd come up with such a crazy move. You're a lunatic. It's too crazy. Do you know that if you took a step back later, you'd be smashed into pieces? Do you think that you're more resistant than Ma Zhu with his golden shield? This. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and felt a little awkward. I didn't care that much back then, right? How could I think of the consequences? At that time, I thought that it'd be great if I could die with Ma Zhu. Oh right, Jiao Lao, why didn't you remind me? What's the use of reminding you? You didn't care that much already, and you still have the time to care about my reminder? Jiao Lao shook his head. But I really didn't think that you'd come up with such a way to use energy. Energy bomb, that's really ruthless. That attack was no less than the bomb that you used to blow up Qibing's skyscraper. Heh! In school, the physics teacher always said, think of energy when you don't have any moves. Didn't I think of energy now? Lin Yi was talking about the solution to a physics problem. During this period of time, Lin Yi often attended classes in school. When solving physics problems, the physics teacher always said, think of energy when you don't have any moves. Lin Yi memorized it. He didn't think that it would become an important way to save his life. Zhao Yazi was speechless. You were lucky, but I have to say that you created a trump card. A trump card that can allow you to defeat opponents who are at a higher level than you. However, it's not very useful. Oh. Lin Yi paused for a second and then nodded. He understood what Zhao Yazi meant. Although the energy bomb was extremely powerful, it would also cause great damage to the user. It would be fine if the opponent died from the explosion, but if it didn't, and the opponent still had the strength to counterattack, then Lin Yi would be in danger. The energy bomb would drain all the energy in the body. Once it was used, it was equivalent to betting all of one's life on this move. It was extremely dangerous. Therefore, this move could only be used when there was no other choice. Just like today, although Ma Zhu was heavily injured from the explosion, he still had the strength to attack Lin Yi. If he wasn't scared silly by Lin Yi and continued to attack, then Lin Yi would probably die here today. However, Lin Yi could still stand up at that time. Although he looked pathetic, there were no signs of serious injuries. This made Ma Zhu inexplicably terrified. He was afraid that Lin Yi would use such a killer move again, and then he would really turn into ashes. Indeed, this move can't be used casually. Otherwise, it would be really dangerous. Lin Yi nodded. All right, hurry up and look at your injuries. Zhao Yazi said to Lin Yi. Lin Yi sat cross-legged and silently channeled the art of dragon mastery. His body really needed to replenish energy. The energy in the space of the jade quickly rushed into Lin Yi's body. This feeling of being filled with energy was really comfortable. Lin Yi couldn't help but let out a satisfied moan, enjoying the infusion of energy. Chapter 896. He couldn't accept this. Although the energy was quickly absorbed into Lin Yi's body, it could not stay in his body. The energy entered Lin Yi's body through the pores on this side and exited through the pores on the other side. It just shuttled through Lin Yi's body and returned to the space in the jade pendant. What's going on? Lin Yi was shocked. He quickly stopped the art of dragon mastery and checked his body. That wasn't right. Although he was heavily injured this time, his injuries weren't any lighter than this time after he was beaten by Uncle Zhu. What's wrong? Zhao Yazi sensed that something was wrong with Lin Yi and quickly asked. Zhao Lao, it seems that the energy cannot be absorbed by my body. I can't convert the energy in the space of the jade pendant into my own energy. Lin Yi's eyes widened. My body is like a sieve. Energy enters from one side and exits from the other. Oh? Zhao Yazi was taken aback and frowned. Circulate the art of dragon mastery now, let me see. Although Lin Yi was anxious, he still nodded and activated the art of dragon mastery. The energy in the space of the jade pendant was instantly mobilized and rushed into Lin Yi's body. However, something strange happened again. After the energy entered Lin Yi's body, it turned around and slipped away from Lin Yi's body. Indeed, as Lin Yi had described, his body was like a sieve, and the energy only passed through it. Strange. This is too strange. Zhao Yazi widened his eyes and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Energy can't stay in the body. This is too strange. 10 minutes later, Lin Yi stopped practicing the art of dragon mastery dejectedly. His expression was extremely ugly. Zhao Lao, I still can't convert the energy to my own use. I can clearly feel the energy leaving my body. Zhao Yazi fell into deep thought. Let me think carefully, Zhao Yazi said as he walked over to check on Lin Yi. How is it? Lin Yi asked anxiously after waiting for a while and not seeing Zhao Yazi speak. After a while, Zhao Yazi shook his head regretfully. I found a problem, and according to my guess, this might be the reason why you can't absorb the energy. What's the reason? Lin Yi asked anxiously. The reason? I'll tell you. Don't be sad. I hope you can hold on. Zhao Lao sighed and said. What do you mean? Lin Yi was stunned at first, but he immediately understood what Zhao Yazi meant. Zhao Yazi meant that although he found the reason why he couldn't absorb the energy, he didn't find a solution. Lin Yi's heart sank, but he smiled bitterly. As long as there was a reason, there was no need to worry about finding a solution. So he said, Zhao Lao, tell me, I'm not that weak. I thought about dying together with you, but now I just can't absorb the energy. Then I'll tell you. Zhao Yazi's expression became serious. Your meridians were all destroyed by your own energy bomb. It can be said that you're a useless person now. A spiritual master's meridians are all destroyed, so you're no different from an ordinary person. You can't use qi anymore. Lin Yi was shocked, and he quickly checked the injuries in his body. Lin Yi was in a hurry to train in the space of the jade pendant, so he didn't check his injuries carefully because Lin Yi was sure that no matter how serious his injuries were, they could be healed in the space of the jade pendant. Just like General Wei Wu, his organs and meridians were almost destroyed by Yu Kuan, but Lin Yi could still use the energy in his body to save it. So Lin Yi thought that as long as he could live, it would be fine, but he didn't have the time to check the abnormalities in his body. Now that Elder Jiao was telling him about it, Lin Yi realized that his meridians had been blown to pieces by his own energy bomb. That's not right. Suddenly, Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Zhao Lao. When I was fighting with Uncle Zhu, I was seriously injured too, and many of my meridians were broken. Although not all of them were broken, I can still use my energy to heal them, right? Well, you said it yourself, although not all of them were broken, your situation now is that all of them are broken. Zhao Yazi shook his head. How can part of them be the same as breaking all of them? As long as there are meridians that are not broken, you can still use the art of dragon mastery and use these meridians that are not broken to heal other damaged meridians. But now, your meridians are all broken. How are you going to heal them? Lin Yi was speechless. What Zhao Yazi said was right. His situation was like a domino. As long as he pushed one down, it would cause a chain reaction. But if he didn't push one down, then all the other cards wouldn't fall. In other words, if one of his meridians was healed, he could slowly use the art of dragon mastery to heal the other meridians. But now that he couldn't heal one, then the other meridians couldn't be healed either. Your mistake is using that energy bomb. You used up all the energy in your body. If there was still a part left, even if only 1/3 of it was left in your body, it could still heal one of your damaged meridians. Zhao Yazi shook his head and said, But you didn't even leave a trace of energy, I can't do anything about it. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Even Zhao Yazi couldn't do anything about it. If he said that he couldn't do anything about it, then he really couldn't do anything about it. He kept his life, but he lost his strength. Was it a blessing or a curse? Lin Yi wasn't willing to give up. From the peak of the early phase of the mystic class, He suddenly dropped to the point where he had no strength at all. This difference made Lin Yi extremely disappointed. Gritting his teeth, Lin Yi silently started the art of dragon mastery again. This time, he didn't stop for a few hours. Lin Yi let the energy flow through his body, but he still continued to train without a care. Xianxia looked at the determined Lin Yi and shook his head, but he didn't say anything to stop him. He knew very well that if it was anyone else, they wouldn't give up so easily. So he let Lin Yi experiment. In a situation like this, unless Lin Yi gave up on his own accord, he wouldn't let the matter rest. Chapter 897. Life is full of adventures. Jiao Lao. Jiao Lao. Lin Yi exclaimed in surprise. Jiao Lao, I did it. Oh. Xiaoyazi was surprised. You did it. Yes, I realized that the energy that passed through my body wasn't completely useless. There was still a small amount left, and it's slowly healing my body. Lin Yi said excitedly, although the healing area is very small, I can still feel it. Oh, you mean that? Xiaoyazi rubbed his chin. He really couldn't bear to hurt Lin Yi's feelings. However, there were some things he had to say after some hesitation. You're right. Since you're using the art of dragon mastery, it's a process of energy absorption and conversion. Although your meridians are damaged, they're not completely useless. You can still convert a small amount of energy, but it's just a drop in the ocean. Oh? That means if I continue to train like this, it's possible to recover my strength? Lin Yi was overjoyed when he heard Xiaoyazi's words. He didn't hear Xiaoyazi's hidden meaning. Yes, it's possible. Xiaoyazi nodded. In about 100 years, you'll be able to repair 1/3 of your meridians. Ha! Lin Yi was shocked by Xiaoyazi's words. 100 years? Only 1/3 of it? Yes, if you train day and night, you'll be able to repair 1/3 of it in about 30,000 days. In 100,000 days, you'll be able to repair a whole meridian. By then, you'll be able to repair all your meridians very quickly. Xiaoyazi counted with his fingers for Lin Yi. Lin Yi was speechless. But I don't think it's that slow. Judging from the speed at which my injuries are healing, it will only take a few days for my injuries to recover. That's right. Xiaoyazi nodded his head as if it was a matter of course. Physical masters cultivate their bodies, while inner masters cultivate their meridians. You don't have the body of a physical master. Your body is just slightly stronger than a normal person's, so naturally, you can recover faster. However, as for your meridians, Lin Yi came to a sudden realization. So this was the reason. In that case, it seemed that he had been pleasantly surprised for nothing. Phew. Lin Yi gave up on trying and sat on the ground of the jade pendant space. Jiao Lao, is there really no other way? If I wasn't just a soul shadow, perhaps I could give it a try. If Master is here, he can also help you. Xiaoyazi said. What you said is unrealistic. Is there no more realistic way? Lin Yi asked with a bitter smile. Yes, the more realistic way is to go and practice physical masters. Xiaoyazi said, look, that Ma Zhu, he's also very powerful after practicing physical martial arts. If you don't have a super powerful energy bomb, you're dead for sure. Ah. Lin Yi blinked his eyes. You're asking me to practice Golden Bell Shield? This is the easiest way for you to recover your strength that I can think of. Xiaoyazi nodded his head and said. Lin Yi didn't say anything. He pondered for a while and finally nodded his head. Perhaps you're right. This is the only way. It's good that you're open-minded. After all roads lead to Rome. Who knows, maybe when you open the second stone door of the cave, you'll get an unexpected reward. Xiaoyazi said. Yeah. Why didn't I think of that? Lin Yi's eyes brightened. His path of practicing was different from a physical practitioner's, but it wasn't the same as a spiritual practitioner's either. He practiced the art of dragon mastery, a very rare art. If he was behind the stone door on the second floor, there might be a way to repair his meridians. Life is always full of fortuitous encounters. When you get to the mountain, there will always be a way. Xiaoyazi said, when you're in despair, maybe there will be a light at the end of the tunnel? Lin Yi nodded. If that's the case, I'll have to heal my injuries first before anything else. Shu, can't you be more steady? How are you carrying him? If you carry him like this, your shield bro will die from the shaking. Mengyao and Yushu carried Lin Yi down the mountain. The two girls took care of Lin Yi's injuries and didn't dare to stay any longer. They were afraid that Xianxua's men would come back again. If that happened, not only would Lin Yi be in danger, but they would also be in danger. The phone was taken away by Xianxua's men and Lin Yi's phone was taken out by Meng Yao from his pocket. It was blown to pieces and couldn't be used at all. Half of the flip phone was nowhere to be seen. They couldn't call for help and were worried about Lin Yi's injuries, so they each carried Lin Yi down the mountain. Meng Yao originally wanted to carry Lin Yi, but she realized that the mountain path was too steep. She almost threw Lin Yi off, so she gave up the idea of carrying Lin Yi and asked Shu to help carry Lin Yi. So Meng Yao held Lin Yi's feet and carried his legs in front while Yushu held Lin Yi's armpits and carried Lin Yi's arms behind. The two of them walked down the mountain carefully, one in front and one behind. This steep mountain range, even if one person went down the mountain without carrying anything, it was still very dangerous, and it was very easy to fall, not to mention two people carrying a wounded person. Oh, okay. It was Yushu's first time carrying someone and she could only try to find a way. How could she be familiar with it? As she spoke, she tightened her grip and made Lin Yi's head press against her abdomen to prevent Lin Yi from shaking. Do you want to suffocate him to death? Your chest is so big. It's going to suffocate his head. Meng Yao looked at Yushu speechlessly and glared at her. Ah. Then what should we do? It's already so big, we can't cut it off, it's going to hurt. Yushu wanted to remove Lin Yi's head from under her chest, but she was afraid that it would hurt Lin Yi. She said helplessly, Yao sis, why don't you take the back? Your chest is small, it won't suffocate him to death. Meng Yao almost exploded from Yushu's words. What do you mean my chest is small? Mine is just the right size, okay? Who's a big cow like you? Meng Yao humphed and retorted. You continue to carry him, you're too short, it's not suitable for you to walk in front. Yushu wasn't angry. She knew that she wasn't as tall as Meng Yao. She smiled and said, Okay. Chapter 898. Chapter 0897, A Difficult Journey. Yao, are you alright? Yushu might have been messing around with Meng Yao, but she was really worried about Meng Yao. She was shocked when she saw Meng Yao fall down. Meng Yao was in so much pain that she was about to cry. She had never been hurt like this before. The weather was hot, and she wasn't wearing much clothing. Kneeling on the hard stone road made her knees purple, but Meng Yao couldn't care less. She gritted her teeth and stood up slowly, but her hands were still holding onto Lin Yi's legs, afraid that she would fall. Meng Yao shook her head with a crying face. I'm fine, let's go. Oh. Yushu nodded. She knew that Yao must be in a lot of pain, but she didn't know what to say. Should she ask Yao to put Lin Yi down and rest for a while? That wouldn't do. The two stumbled down the mountain. Meng Yao didn't know how many times she'd fallen on her knees, and Yushu didn't know how many times she'd fallen on her buttocks. Their arms were cut by branches and rocks, but they didn't seem to notice it at all. The two let out a sigh of relief when they reached the foot of the mountain, smiling at each other as if they'd completed a big mission. They were both worried about the same man, but they weren't jealous of each other. It was as if their hearts were closer than ever. Luckily, Lin Yi didn't remove the car keys before he went up the mountain. Lin Yi had a backup plan, so that it would be easier for him to escape. No one would be able to steal his car at the foot of the mountain. It was convenient for Meng Yao and Yushu now. Otherwise, Lin Yi's car keys would have been blown to pieces. Meng Yao and Yushu carefully placed Lin Yi on the back seat of the beetle, and the two hurried back home. They didn't go to the hospital, but went home directly. They knew that Lin Yi never went to the hospital when he was injured. He could recover on his own. This time, before Lin Yi fainted, he did not ask them to send him to the hospital. Pengzhan paced around the villa anxiously. He called Lin Yi, but his phone was turned off. He called his daughter and Shu, but their phones were still turned off. He couldn't contact the kidnappers, so he didn't know how Lin Yi, his daughter, and Shu were doing. Did Lin Yi pick up his daughter and Shu? Did the kidnappers keep their promise and let them go? Why did Lin Yi also turn off his phone? Faubert was injured, and Pengzhan didn't even have anyone to talk to. He couldn't call the police either, so he could only wait anxiously for Lin Yi's return. DD. Suddenly, the sound of a car came from outside the villa. Pengzhan jumped and quickly ran out of the villa, only to see that Yushu's yellow beetle was back. He. Pengzhan shouted subconsciously, but after shouting, He realized that the person in the driver's seat wasn't Lin Yi, but his daughter Meng Yao. Daddy. Meng Yao gritted her teeth the whole way. Her knees were hurting, and she couldn't even step on the gas pedal, but she still persisted. She had to persist. Lin Yi was down, and she had to bear the responsibility of an elder sister. Shu, on the other hand, was even worse than her. Meng Yao fell on her knees, and Yushu fell on her butt. She didn't even dare to sit down, lying on her side the whole way, and it was very uncomfortable. However, seeing Pengzhan, Meng Yao couldn't hold it in anymore. Tears flowed out of her eyes. There were grievances, pain, and most of all, she was worried for Lin Yi. Fortunately, they reached home safely, and Lin Yi didn't die. Meng Yao got off the car, and she couldn't even stand straight. She didn't know how she managed to persevere the whole way without any accidents. She jumped into Pengzhan's arms. Daddy, I'm so scared. All right, it's good that you're back. Pengzhan was happy to see his daughter, but he didn't see Lin Yi. He was curious. Yao, where's Lin Yi? He's in the back of the car, he's hurt. He got hurt trying to save me and Shu. Meng Yao cried very sad. Daddy, Lin Yi almost died just now, he almost lost his life to save us. Pengzhan was shocked. Then why are you guys still going home? Aren't you going to send him to the hospital? Shield Bro always recovers on his own. He never asked us to send him to the hospital. Yushu explained, covering her butt as she got off the car. Is that so? Pengzhan remembered that when Faubert was injured, the doctors in the hospital couldn't do anything about it, right? It seemed like Lin Yi had his own ways, and Pengzhan didn't say anything more. He opened the car door and carried Lin Yi into the villa. Lin Yi was placed on his bed in his own room, and Meng Yao and Yushu had already changed into pajamas. One of them had a bruised butt, and the other had a purple knee. One of them didn't dare to stand, and the other didn't dare to sit, but both of them stayed by Lin Yi's bed. Pengzhan sighed. These two kids had never suffered much since they were young, but now with just a little bit of safflower oil, they gritted their teeth and stayed by Lin Yi's side without rest. This made Pengzhan very happy. They had finally grown up without him noticing. She was no longer the carefree little girl she used to be. Do we really not need to send Lin Yi to the hospital? Although Pengzhan saw that Lin Yi's complexion had obviously improved, he was still a little worried. There's no need. The hospital can't do anything about his injury. Meng Yao shook her head. She believed that Lin Yi must have a way to treat his injury, even if Lin Yi seemed to be asleep at the moment. Pengzhan nodded. I'll go to the company's police station to deal with the aftermath. You guys stay at home with Lin Yi, don't go out. The villa area had 24-hour surveillance, so the kidnappers wouldn't be able to attack openly. Besides, they didn't know how Lin Yi's injury was, and he couldn't even protect himself right now, so they didn't have to worry about Meng Yao and Yushu's safety. As for Faubert's injury, they could only wait for Lin Yi to wake up before going to save Faubert. Otherwise, there was no other way. After Pengzhan left, Meng Yao hesitated and said to Yushu, Shu, should we tell Tang Yun about Lin Yi's injury? Tell her what? Let her cause trouble? If she knew that Shield Bro got injured because of us, she would definitely be furious. Yushu shook her head. Chapter 899. Who is right and who is wrong? Then. I understand. Yao sis, you decide. Yushu didn't know what to do. Although she didn't want Tang Yun to come, Meng Yao was right. They had to let Tang Yun know sooner or later. Shu, Tang Yun isn't a bad person. When we were in danger, Tang Yun would ask Lin Yi to help. How could we not tell her when something happened to Lin Yi? Meng Yao seemed to be explaining it to Shu, but at the same time, it seemed like she was explaining it to herself. Speaking of which, Lin Yi's just a shield dad hired for me. He's not my bodyguard. Why would he risk his life for 30,000 yuan? Yeah. Yushu nodded. Maybe Shield Bro likes you? Ha. Meng Yao paused, blushing at Yushu's words. How is that possible? Don't talk nonsense. If he liked me, why would he bother with Tang Yun? Tang Yun is braver than you. Yushu, on the other hand, saw through everything. Shield Bro would have been yours if you'd confessed earlier. Yao. Meng Yao's heart tightened. Was that really the case? She shook her head. Let's not talk about this, I'll call Tang Yun. At school, Tang Yun was restless the entire morning. She had been worried about Lin Yi ever since she left Lin Yi, but she didn't dare to call him. She didn't want to disturb him, so she didn't even listen to what the teacher was saying in class. She kept thinking about Lin Yi. It was finally noon, but there was still no news from Lin Yi. She couldn't help but give Lin Yi a call, but the phone was turned off. Tang Yun's heart tightened as a bad feeling rose in her heart. Lin Yi, why did you turn off your phone? Meng Yao and Yushu had turned off their phones earlier, and now Lin Yi had turned off his too. Did something happen to him too? Thinking of this, Tang Yun quickly called Meng Yao and Yushu, but their phones were still turned off. Tang Yun panicked. She wanted to know about Lin Yi's situation, but at this moment, she didn't know who to ask. She was so anxious that she didn't even want to eat lunch. She sat alone in the classroom in a daze, somewhat at a loss. Tang Yin's phone rang all of a sudden, startling her. She quickly picked it up and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. Hello, Tang Yun? I'm Meng Yao. Miss didn't have her phone anymore, so she could only use her home phone to call Tang Yun. She had a natural hostility towards Tang Yun, so she remembered Tang Yun's phone number very clearly. Otherwise, she wouldn't know how to contact Tang Yun. Meng Yao? Are you all right? Tang Yun was relieved. If Meng Yao was fine, then Lin Yi should be fine as well. However, Tang Yun's heart tightened again. If Lin Yi was fine, then why didn't Lin Yi call her, but Meng Yao? This didn't make sense. Tang Yun subconsciously asked, Where's Lin Yi? Is he with you? Lin Yi. Meng Yao had already decided to tell Tang Yun, but she didn't know what to say. She didn't know how to say it. How to face Tang Yun. What happened to Lin Yi? Tang Yun saw Meng Yao's hesitation, and she had a bad feeling. What happened to him? He's injured. Meng Yao gritted her teeth and said, I'm sorry. Injured? Is it serious? Tang Yun asked anxiously. He's unconscious, but it shouldn't be a big deal. After all, he's been injured a few times, but he's always been fine. Meng Yao said carefully. This time, she was a little weak in front of Tang Yun, but she couldn't help it. Lin Yi was injured because of her. Should. Tang Yun was a little annoyed. What did she mean by should? How could she be so careless? She quickly asked, What did the doctor say? Where are you guys now? I'll go right now. We didn't go to the hospital, we're at home. Meng Yao said. Why didn't you go to the hospital? You guys. Seriously. Tang Yun was a little angry. He's injured, and you guys didn't send him to the hospital. Are you trying to kill him? Tang Yun, listen to me first. Meng Yao naturally understood Tang Yun's feelings. It's true that Lin Yi got injured, but he recovered by himself several times. This time, he only asked us to bring him to a quiet place to heal. He didn't ask us to send him to the hospital. I see. Tang Yun suddenly remembered that Lin Yi went to find trouble with Zhao Qibing for her. After tearing down his building, he was injured by Zhao Qibing's men. He didn't go to the hospital but went to Fatty Lai's house to heal. After that, Lin Yi recovered by himself without any doctor's help. Thinking of this, Tang Yun suddenly felt embarrassed for her rashness. I was too anxious. I'm sorry, I'll go right now. Tang Yun's apology made Meng Yao a little embarrassed. After all, Lin Yi got injured because of her, and Tang Yun still said this. She felt even more sorry. You don't need to apologize to me. You're worried about Lin Yi. It's not wrong. After all, it's because of me that Lin Yi got injured. I should be the one apologizing to you. All right, let's not talk about who's right and who's wrong. I'll go right now. Tang Yun didn't want to dwell on this issue. It was meaningless. She was worried about Lin Yi more than she was complaining about Meng Yao. Although Tang Yun still held a grudge against Lin Yi for getting injured because of Meng Yao and Yushu, it was Lin Yi's choice no matter what. Lin Yi went to save them. It was Lin Yi's decision. As Lin Yi's girlfriend, she should support Lin Yi unconditionally and not blame Meng Yao and Yushu. Come to my house directly, Villa Area A0033, Meng Yao said. The security here knows. Okay. Tang Yun remembered Meng Yao's house number and hung up. She stumbled out of the classroom and almost bumped into someone. Luckily, Tang Yun reacted fast enough and stopped in time. Mr. Wang. Tang Yun jumped. She didn't expect it to be Wang Jifeng. Chapter 900. Taking advantage of him? I understand, Master Wang. Tang Yun wasn't in the mood to talk to him anymore. She was worried about Lin Yi's safety. She forced a smile and left quickly. Wang Jifeng shook his head. Why was Tang Yun's attitude so cold now? Could it be that Lin Yi said something to her, and she knew about his situation? That's why she was so cold to him? Wang Jifeng couldn't help but worry at the thought. According to Tang Yun's personality, although her life was much better than before, she wouldn't be so extravagant as to take a taxi. But this time, she stopped a taxi and went straight to the villa area. So beautiful! This was Tang Yun's first thought when she arrived at the villa area. Every villa was spacious and bright. They were even more beautiful than Fatty Lai's villa. Tang Yun already thought that her new house was beautiful, but when she arrived here, she finally knew what luxury was. So Mingyao's family was this rich. Tang Yun sighed. If she really had to compete with the miss, what could she use to compete? But this thought only flashed through her mind. Tang Yun's heart was on Lin Yi now. She paid the taxi fee and came to the villa A0033. She pressed the doorbell. Yao Yao sis, someone is pressing the doorbell, Yushu said. Oh! Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi blankly. She didn't know what was going on in her mind. She only responded subconsciously after hearing Yushu's words. Yao Yao sis? Yushu called again. Oh! Meng Yao responded again, but there was no other reaction. Yushu had no choice but to open the door first. Lin Yi. Meng Yao didn't hear what Yushu was saying at all, her thoughts drifting back to the first time she met Lin Yi. He was wearing a tattered shirt and a pair of tattered pants, and Meng Yao wasn't good at communicating with strangers in the first place. It was only natural that she would reject a stranger like Lin Yi from the bottom of her heart. Lin Yi. However, after Lin Yi took a shower and changed his clothes, Meng Yao had to admit that Lin Yi was quite energetic. At least a guy with this kind of appearance should be very popular with girls. But Meng Yao didn't like him very much. How could she get used to a stranger suddenly appearing in the villa? After the big fight with her dad, Meng Yao had to accept the reality of Lin Yi's existence. But because of her instinctive rejection and vigilance towards strangers, the miss didn't give him a good look. Afraid that Lin Yi would do something bad to her, Meng Yao called her best friend Shu over and asked her to stay with her in the villa. With Lin Yi's addition, the conflict increased. Meng Yao almost went crazy after drinking the soda with Lin Yi's saliva on it. Did she kiss this bastard indirectly? Meng Yao was disgusted. She really wanted to kick this bastard out of the villa. But now, she felt heartache for him, shed tears for him, and gave up her shyness and modesty for him. Why? When did it start to change? Was it the first time he saved her? Or did she accept him naturally after living with him for a long time? Meng Yao didn't know. She really didn't know. She didn't know why, but she didn't hate him anymore. On the contrary, she started to rely on him. She treated him as a member of the villa, as her family. With him around, she felt at ease. Because she was afraid of losing Lin Yi, the miss was jealous of another pretty girl for the first time. She said something that even she was embarrassed about. Today, when Lin Yi told them to learn to take care of themselves, Meng Yao's heart felt like it was being torn apart. It was a heart-wrenching pain like losing a family member. It was just like the time when General Wei Wu was injured by Yu Kuan, or even worse. She didn't know what position Lin Yi was in her heart. Was he a family member? A relative? A friend? Or was he just a follower? She didn't know? She really didn't know. She only knew that if she lost Lin Yi, she would be very sad. I'm sorry. I always bring trouble to you. The miss caressed Lin Yi's face and murmured. Yushu ran to the door and saw that it was Tang Yun. She opened the door, but she didn't know what to say. How's Lin Yi? Tang Yun asked anxiously. He's still the same. Yushu let Tang Yun in and said, You can see for yourself later. I think Shield Bro should be fine. He's very powerful. Tang Yun frowned. What use do you think it is? You're not a prophet. Over there, that's Shield Bro's room. Yushu pointed at Lin Yi's room after bringing Tang Yun into the villa. Tang Yun looked around the first floor of the villa and asked casually, Where do you guys live? Upstairs. Yushu said subconsciously. Oh haha. Tang Yun let out a sigh of relief. Ah no, the room downstairs is the guest room. Shield Bro is staying upstairs with Yao Yao sis. Yushu realized that she slipped up and quickly corrected herself. Oh, it's pretty good. Tang Yun nodded. Pretty good. Yushu froze and widened her eyes. She immediately understood that Tang Yun didn't believe her at all. Yushu shrugged. Why was her mouth moving so fast? It wasn't easy for her to lie to Tang Yun, saying that Yao Yao Sis and Shield Bro were taking a shower. Now, her lie was exposed. Tang Yun entered Lin Yi's room, and the first thing she saw was Meng Yao, who was sitting on the edge of the bed. She didn't seem to notice that someone was here, and her right hand was placed on Lin Yi's cheek. This made Tang Yun frown subconsciously, and she felt uncomfortable. Tang Yun had already calmed down. She didn't come here to fight with the big and small families. She just wanted to watch over Lin Yi and see if he was okay. But Meng Yao couldn't be so shameless. Even if Lin Yi fainted, she couldn't take advantage of him, could she? Ahem. Tang Yun coughed twice. Men and women shouldn't touch each other, miss. Please behave yourself. Meng Yao didn't realize that Tang Yun was here. She was startled by the sudden voice. Her face blushed and the hand on Lin Yi's cheek trembled. She quickly moved it away like a mistress who was caught cheating. I saw that Lin Yi's face was a little dirty, so I wiped it for him. Don't misunderstand. Chapter 901. Jinx. Tang Yun, naturally, didn't believe Meng Yao's words. She looked at Meng Yao suspiciously, trying to figure out what was going on. Oh, Yao Yao sis, why do you say that? What do you mean by that? You and Shield Bro are closer than her. Yushu wasn't happy. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. She didn't want her to continue. But Yushu insisted. I'll say it. What's wrong with that? Shield Bro saw you naked and touched your whole body. He wouldn't have kissed you if there was no such thing as giving or receiving. You are much closer than her. Tang Yun's face changed, but she knew that Yushu always liked to talk nonsense. She didn't believe her completely. Humph, what you said is probably false. Don't say it's false if you don't believe me. Yushu humphed. Yao Yao sis took off all her clothes for Shield Bro when she was poisoned. Shield Bro saw every part of Yao Yao sis' body and she even peed on his face. Wah! Tang Yun and Meng Yao gasped at the same time. Meng Yao was furious after hearing Yushu's words. She ignored the pain in her leg and jumped up from the bed. Shoo, I'll tear your mouth off and let you talk. Oh. Don't, I'm just telling the truth. Hey, be honest. Yushu screamed as well. Tang Yun looked at the two clowns and didn't know what to say. If Lin Yi had seen or touched Meng Yao's body when he was treating Meng Yao, then it was understandable because Lin Yi was playing the role of a doctor. A doctor's heart didn't discriminate between genders. But thinking about the relationship between Meng Yao and Lin Yi, Tang Yun was conflicted. If Lin Yi had seen a girl he didn't know and looked at her body, then Tang Yun wouldn't feel anything special. But Meng Yao was different. Plus, what did Yushu say that Meng Yao had peed on Lin Yi's face? What was going on? Wasn't this Meng Yao too evil? Lin Yi treated her, but she still treated Lin Yi like this? Tang Yun, don't listen to Shu's nonsense. What she said is true, but Lin Yi and I are just a patient and doctor. Meng Yao tried to explain subconsciously. This time, Lin Yi's injury changed Meng Yao's attitude. She didn't want to fight with Tang Yun anymore. Besides, Lin Yi was injured because of her. What was the point of fighting? Oh. Tang Yi nodded. She didn't want to argue with Meng Yao, but she was a little annoyed. She looked down at Lin Yi. How did he get hurt? He did it to save me and Shu. Meng Yao didn't want to hide anything as she told Tang Yun everything that happened. So that's how it is. Tang Yun's heart ached. Lin Yi was willing to give up his life for Meng Yao and Yushu. How could this be? If Lin Yi died, what would happen to her? Didn't he think about the consequences? Why did he treat Meng Yao and Yushu so well? Tang Yun was jealous. Although Meng Yao and Yushu would be in danger if Lin Yi didn't save them, Lin Yi couldn't just throw his life away like that. Haven't we already averted the danger? Don't be so sad. Shield Bro's complexion is getting better. He should be fine now. Yushu saw that Meng Yao and Tang Yun's faces were filled with sadness, so she said, Last time, Shield Bro got hurt because of you. This time it's because of Yao Yao sis, so you guys are even now, don't blame each other anymore. Man, I wonder when Shield Bro will get hurt because of me? Shu, you jinx. What are you talking about? Meng Yao heard Yushu's words and couldn't help but get angry. Didn't he have you this time? You want Lin Yi to get hurt? Tang Yun also looked at Yushu angrily. However, since Meng Yao had already scolded her, Tang Yun couldn't say anything. Although Lin Yi was in the jade space, he still knew what was happening outside. However, his body was too weak and he couldn't wake up. Meng Yao and Yushu worked hard to carry him down the mountain. Lin Yi was very touched. The miss was willing to kneel on the ground for him. It made Lin Yi very touched. Lin Yi risked his life to save them. The miss was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Only at this moment could she show her true nature. Lin Yi, on the other hand, knew what happened after Tang Yun's arrival. He was a little embarrassed as he listened to the three women's insinuations. However, Lin Yi wanted to wake up and tell them not to worry about him. But Lin Yi's body was too heavily injured. His body couldn't absorb the energy in the jade space. He could only rely on the art of dragon mastery to slowly recover his injuries. Time passed. 1 hour, one afternoon, all the way until night. Lin Yi still didn't show any signs of waking up. Tang Yun was getting anxious. Meng Yao and Yushu were getting anxious as well. The three of them put aside their previous grudges. At this moment, they only had one goal, and that was to find a way to wake up Lin Yi as soon as possible. Why hasn't Lin Yi woken up yet? Tang Yun was worried. She felt that time was passing like a year. I don't know. Last time, he woke up the whole night, right? Meng Yao hesitated and said, should we wait in the living room? Will we disturb him if we stay here? Aye. Tang Yun thought about it and nodded. It was true. Would they disturb Lin Yi when he was recovering? The three of them carefully left Lin Yi's room and closed the door. They went to the living room. Do you want something to drink? Meng Yao was the owner of the villa. Although her relationship with Tang Yun was a little awkward, this wasn't the time to be petty. Anything. Tang Yun wasn't in the mood for drinks. Meng Yao went to the fridge and took out a couple of bottles of drinks, putting them on the coffee table in the living room. She picked one up randomly and took a sip. She hadn't had a drop of water since morning, but she'd cried a couple of times. Her body was almost dehydrated. Yushu was the same. She didn't eat or drink anything. She picked up a bottle to replenish herself. Chapter 902. Chapter 001. Lin Yi's favorite girl. Would Lin Yi worry if she and Shu got sick? Tang Yi nodded and took a sip. The three of them just stared at each other in the living room, not knowing what to say. It was a little awkward. After a while, Yushu felt bored and wanted to find something to talk about. It wasn't that she wasn't worried about Lin Yi, but that Yushu was loyal to Shield Bro the most. She was sure that Shield Bro would be fine. She had faith in Lin Yi. Oh, let's discuss what kind of girl Shield Bro likes. Yushu looked at Meng Yao and Tang Yun and said, Shu, what's there to discuss? Meng Yao frowned. Tang Yun was sitting here, and she was Lin Yi's girlfriend. What kind of girl did Lin Yi like? Let's discuss. We don't have anything to do right now, right? Yushu blinked. I'll speak first. I think Shield Bro likes pretty gentle girls with good family backgrounds. What do you guys think? How would I know? Meng Yao said helplessly as Yushu looked at her. Tang Yun, what do you think? Yushu then looked at Tang Yun. She was actually saying this to Tang Yun. After comparing with Tang Yun, Yushu realized that Yao Yao's family background was the only advantage she had, so she decided to use this to attack her opponent. Even though Yushu knew that Shield Bro didn't care about that. I'm not participating. You guys discuss it yourselves. Tang Yun's face darkened when Yushu pointed out her weakness. Oh, Shield Bro definitely doesn't like quiet and unsociable girls like Tang Yun. Yushu mumbled to herself. Impossible. Tang Yun panicked upon hearing Yushu's words. She glared at Yushu. Bullshit. Lin Yi likes people like me. Why else would he ask me to be his girlfriend? That's because he didn't have any other choice. There's no other school beauty in our school who likes Shield Bro other than you. That's why he chose you as his girlfriend. Yushu explained. Aren't you two the prettiest girls in school? Why didn't Lin Yi choose you? Tang Yun was a little angry after hearing Yushu's words. I did. Yao Yao is the main wife, and I'm the small wife. Yushu puffed up her chest confidently. Don't think that your boobs are the truth. Keep making things up. Tang Yun hemphed. What? Are you jealous that my breasts are bigger than yours? Yushu said. What am I envious of? I'm not envious at all. It's so big. It's such a burden. I'll die of exhaustion if I walk too much. Tang Yun pouted. All right, Shu, stop fooling around. Meng Yao didn't want to become enemies with Tang Yun, but she knew that Shu was doing it for her own good, so she couldn't reprimand Shu. She could only tell Shu to stop and said to Tang Yun, Tang Yun, Shu is just like that, don't take it to heart. Oh. It's okay, I know. Tang Yun was a little surprised after hearing Meng Yao's explanation, but she didn't want to argue with Yushu at this time. In the blink of an eye, it was already midnight. Peng Zhan came back with 150 million transferred from the company. Although the company was one of the top 500 companies in the country, it was still a bit of a loss. Fortunately, there was still 50 million left. If it was properly arranged, it would be able to tide through the crisis for a while. However, some expansion plans had to be paused. Of course, this was all thanks to the 100 million Lin Yi borrowed from Lu Tianyi. If it wasn't for this 100 million, Peng Zhan Industries would be in dire straits. How's Lin Yi? Peng Zhan saw that there was light in the villa, so he opened the door with the key. But when he saw Tang Yun on the sofa, he paused for a second. This was the first time he saw Tang Yun. Tang Yun saw Peng Zhan, the legendary chairman of Peng Zhan Industries, the director of the school. She had only seen Peng Zhan's speech when she first entered the school. At that time, Tang Yun was just one of the tens of thousands of students in the audience. But now, seeing Peng Zhan at such a close distance, Tang Yun couldn't help but feel nervous. However, Tang Yun had met some big shots before, Fatty Lai, Guan Shuamin, and even Lu Tianyi. So even though she was nervous, she didn't feel awkward at all. She stood up politely and introduced herself. Hello Uncle Chu, I'm Tang Yun, Lin Yi's girlfriend. I'm also a student of Songshan Songshan School. I've seen you at the opening ceremony before. Oh, you're Tang Yun? Nice to meet you. Peng Zhan had heard Faubert talk about Tang Yun before, but he had never seen her before. Now that he saw Tang Yun, his eyes lit up. What a pretty girl. She wasn't any worse than his own daughter. No wonder Lin Yi liked her. Lin Yi is still unconscious. We didn't want to disturb him, so we waited in the living room. Meng Yao said. I see. Peng Zhan sighed. What about Li Fu? How is he? Is he okay? Faubert's condition is the same as before. I don't dare to act recklessly if Lin Yi doesn't wake up. Meng Yao shook her head. Lin Yi and Faubert were unconscious. Two of the people closest to her in her life were unconscious. Meng Yao's mood was very low. Looks like we can only wait for Lin Yi to wake up. Peng Zhan said. You guys didn't eat tonight? Are you hungry? Peng Zhan remembered that Faubert was usually the one who sent food to his daughter. Even if Faubert didn't come, Lin Yi would cook. But now, both Lin Yi and Faubert were bedridden. His daughter probably hadn't eaten? No. I don't want to eat. Meng Yao shook her head and looked at Tang Yun and Yushu. What about you guys? Tang Yun and Yushu weren't in the mood to eat. Besides, they drank some nutrition drinks earlier. Girls had small appetites, so they could just treat it as a diet. Have some instant noodles. Lin Yi is a doctor. He didn't ask you guys to send him to the hospital because he has his ways. Peng Zhan comforted. I haven't eaten anything yet, so I'm a little hungry too. Okay, I'll go prepare. The miss got up and prepared instant noodles after hearing her father's words. She didn't really want to eat, but since her father wanted to eat, then everyone should eat. Chapter 903. Finally awake, Peng Zhan was eating noodles with his daughter, but saw that his daughter, Yushu, and Tang Yun were all listless. He stood up and said his goodbyes. I'll head back then, you guys rest early too? Okay. Meng Yao nodded in response to Peng Zhan's suggestion. Peng Zhan shook his head and left the villa. Time passed by, and in the blink of an eye, it was already 1 o'clock in the morning, but none of the three girls felt sleepy. Meng Yao, Yushu, why don't you guys rest first? I'll wait for Lin Yi here. You guys don't have to stay with me. Tang Yun said as she watched Yushu yawning and widening her eyes. She felt bad for Yushu. She just needed to stick a stick in her eyes. We're not staying with you. We're just waiting for Lin Yi to wake up. After all, he got hurt because of us. Meng Yao said with a bitter smile. Yeah, we care more about Shield Bro than you do. Yushu nodded as well. I'm afraid that the three of us won't be able to do it if we keep going like this. Tang Yun explained helplessly. 1 day is fine, 2 days is fine, but we'll have to sleep for 3 days, right? What if Lin Yi wakes up and we can't find him? What would we do? If that's the case, you're right. Meng Yao nodded. If that's the case, then let's go with the rotation strategy? 1 sleeps, 2 at the same time. What do you think? I think so too. Tang Yun agreed. Yushu, you seem to be the most sleepy. Why don't you go rest first? I don't want to, you go first. I'm not sleepy. I'm not sleepy. Yawn. Yushu yawned again. Yushu's body wasn't that strong, which was why she didn't last as long as Meng Yao when Pin Liang locked her up in the cave. Shu, go to sleep. Listen to me. Meng Yao ordered. Oh. All right then. Yushu was indeed sleepy, and since they'd come to an agreement, there was no need for her to force herself to continue. She was resting now so that she could have more energy to wait for Shield Bro. Yushu yawned as she walked up the stairs. Wei Wu seemed to have sensed the tension in the living room as well. He raised his head to look at Yushu before lying there unmoving. Over the past 3 days, no one knew how many times the 3 girls had rotated, and no one deliberately counted. Anyway, when one of them woke up, the other would go to sleep, and the cycle repeated. God knows how many boxes of instant noodles they had eaten, and the sky would turn dark again. There was finally some movement in Lin Yi's room. Tang Yun and Yushu were on duty at the moment, and they stood up hurriedly when they heard the commotion, rushing towards Lin Yi's room. However, neither of them dared to make any loud noises, and when they reached Lin Yi's room, they opened the door quietly despite their anxiety, and carefully looked towards the direction of Lin Yi's bed. Lin Yi's eyelashes moved, and his eyelids were very heavy, but he finally struggled to open his eyes. Phew! Lin Yi let out a long sigh of relief. He finally woke up. This was the most difficult time ever since he got injured. Before this, he could recover most of his strength in 1 night, and even improve a little. But this time, it took him 3 days and 3 nights just to recover from his injuries, and his strength didn't recover at all. After activating the art of dragon mastery, Lin Yi realized bitterly that the meridians in his body were still in a damaged state, and there wasn't a single bit of energy in his body that could be used. In other words, he was no different from a normal person now. Although he had already gotten over it in the Jade, Lin Yi was still a little disappointed when he returned to the real world. From a master to a normal person, it was just a matter of an instant. However, Lin Yi didn't regret it at all. In that situation, Lin Yi had no other choice. If he didn't use the energy bomb, he wouldn't have a chance of winning. This was because Ma Zhu was an anomaly among the physical masters. He practiced the Golden Bell Shield, and Lin Yi was 2 levels lower than him. A spiritual master at the peak of the early phase of Mystic Division could still fight against a physical master at the middle phase of Mystic Division, but it would be hard for him to fight against a physical master at the peak of the middle phase of Mystic Division, not to mention a monster like Ma Zhu. In a situation where there was no chance of winning, Lin Yi could only use all his strength and fight back. If he did as Elder Jiao said and used 1/3 of his energy to repair his meridians, he wouldn't be able to damage Ma Zhu as much as he did now with the remaining 2/3 of his energy to create an energy bomb. Lin Yi wasn't sure if it would still be able to do that. 100% energy bomb wouldn't be able to kill Ma Zhu. It only blew off one of his arms. What could a 2/3 energy bomb do to him? If the attack didn't work, Lin Yi would have wasted 2/3 of the energy, and the remaining 1/3 would be useless. So if the situation could be repeated, Lin Yi would still choose to do the same. He was a qualified follower, right? Although Peng Zhan had hired him to accompany the miss in her studies, he wasn't a full-time bodyguard, but Lin Yi was a stubborn man. He didn't care about money, he cared about friendship. If he didn't have feelings for Miss and Shu, would Lin Yi risk his life for 30,000 yuan? That was impossible. Lin Yi, you are awake? Tang Yun ran over in surprise. Yushu didn't want to be outdone, she also ran over to ask for praise. I knew that Shield Bro would be fine, he is the best. Although Lin Yi was unconscious before, he knew what happened outside, but he couldn't force himself to wake up because his body was too weak. He only woke up after his injuries were completely healed. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for accompanying me for 3 days and 3 nights. Tang Yun and Yushu were stunned after hearing Lin Yi's words. How did Lin Yi know that they had been with him for 3 days and 3 nights? Although I was unconscious on the surface, I was awake the whole time. Lin Yi said, this time, you guys can have a good rest, right? We are not tired. Tang Yun shook her head. Yeah, Shield Bro, you are hungry, right? What do you want to eat? I will make it for you. Yushu said. Chapter 904. Back to shelter, I see. All right, we'll go rest then. Tang Yun nodded after hearing Lin Yi's words. Meng Yao woke up in a hurry and went to take over Tang Yun and Yushu's shift. She didn't sleep for long, actually, only a couple of hours. She was worried about Lin Yi's safety, so how could she sleep well? She stumbled down the stairs, but didn't see Yushu and Tang Yun on the sofa. She was startled, but she vaguely heard some voices in Lin Yi's room. Could it be? Meng Yao's sleepiness disappeared instantly as she rushed to Lin Yi's room. She saw Lin Yi smiling as he laid on the bed, talking to Tang Yun and Shu. Meng Yao's heart relaxed instantly. She was so happy that Lin Yi was finally awake. Yao Yao, you should sleep too. I can tell that you didn't sleep well just by looking at your messy hair. It was Lin Yi's first time seeing such a messy miss. Her hair was messy, and she didn't have any image at all. Meng Yao blushed at Lin Yi's words. She remembered that she just woke up, and her hair was messy. Yushu and Tang Yun had been awake for a long time, and they'd already washed their faces and combed their hair. She was the only one who rushed over. Meng Yao's face showed a hint of shyness, a little different from her usual cold miss image. But the shyness disappeared in a flash, and she returned to her usual calm self. Tang Yun was here, and she had to control her emotions. It's good that you're awake. Do you still need to rest? Yeah, I need to rest for a while. You guys go rest too. Lin Yi said. The three girls all had their own thoughts. Meng Yao wanted to say thank you words. Yushu wanted to ask what Shield Bro's killer move was, and Tang Yun wanted to ask if there was anything Lin Yi needed her to do. She wanted to stay by Lin Yi's side and take care of him. However, the three of them could not say anything and could only leave the room together. Phew! Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. It wasn't that he didn't want to see the three women, nor did he really want to rest. On the one hand, he wanted the three women to rest, but the most important thing was that Lin Yi hadn't thought about what to say to them. Regarding the present and the future, Lin Yi did not know where to go. Lin Yi, who had lost his strength, could be found by enemies at any time. He could lose his life at any time, and he could also bring trouble and danger to the eldest miss. Without strength, it would be difficult for him to move an inch. Fortunately, his enemies did not know of his current situation. Otherwise, they would have come knocking on his door. Thinking of this, Lin Yi could not help but smile bitterly. He wanted to take out his phone to call the old man at home and ask him if there was any way. But when his hand reached into his pocket, he was shocked to find that his phone had been destroyed by his own energy bomb. Tang Yun, Meng Yao, and Yushu were really tired. Everyone was thinking about Lin Yi, and they didn't sleep well for the past 3 days and 3 nights. So when they came out of Lin Yi's room and felt relieved, they immediately felt sleepy. Tang Yun was also resting in the bedroom above Meng Yao and Yushu. The miss didn't mind Tang Yun and let her sleep on her and Yushu's bed. The miss didn't know why she suddenly didn't reject Tang Yun so much. She accepted Lin Yi. Did that mean that she also accepted his woman? In short, Meng Yao didn't hate Tang Yun that much now. Was it a good thing or a bad thing? But Tang Yun was sleeping in the bedroom upstairs. Now that the three of them were going to sleep, how could they sleep on the same bed? Tang Yun also realized that it was inappropriate for the three of them to sleep together, so she took the initiative. Why don't I sleep on the sofa downstairs? Meng Yao was a little embarrassed after hearing Tang Yun's words. You are a guest, how can you sleep on the sofa? If you want to sleep, it should be Shu. Why me? Yushu asked innocently. Haha. Tang Yun knew that Meng Yao was being polite. How could she let Yushu sleep on the sofa? So she smiled. Is there a guest room here? Maybe I can sleep in the guest room? Yes, it's just upstairs beside the master bedroom. I'll clean it up for you. Meng Yao suddenly remembered that there was a guest room in the house. Yushu wanted to say that it was Shield Bro's room upstairs, but Meng Yao was quick to say that it was a guest room and needed to be cleaned up. It was obvious that it hadn't been used for a long time. Yushu couldn't help but feel dejected. Her plan to trick Tang Yun had failed. Lin Yi waited for the three girls to go upstairs. After a while, he came out of the room and came to the living room. General Wei Wu looked at Lin Yi curiously. It seemed to have sensed the change in Lin Yi's strength, but it couldn't speak the human language. It barked twice, but Lin Yi ignored it. It could only continue lying on the floor. Lin Yi used the landline phone in the villa and called Old Lin. Old Lin was in the toilet when he picked up the phone. He almost dropped the phone into the manure pit when it rang. "What are you doing? Can't you call later? You're not going to the toilet again, are you?" Lin Yi could guess what Old Lin was doing from his tone. Old Lin humphed. "What's the matter?" "Old man, I dropped a level. I'm a normal person now." Lin Yi didn't waste any time and directly told him about the trouble he was in. "A normal person? What happened?" Old Lin was startled. He didn't have the time to scold Lin Yi for calling at the wrong time, so he quickly asked. "My meridians are all damaged. I can't train my qi." Lin Yi smiled bitterly and told Old Lin everything that happened. "So you're saying that your meridians were destroyed by yourself?" Old Lin's tone changed after hearing Lin Yi's story. "Yes." Lin Yi was helpless. "Old man, you're a miracle doctor. Do you have a solution?" "No." Old man Lin said straightforwardly. "What's wrong with you? Aren't you being too careless? Forget it. According to what you said, it's not your fault. Hurry up and pack your bags and come back. Then focus on training your physical kung fu. I don't think you can stay in Songshan anymore. You'll only die if you stay there." Chapter 905. Showdown with the Miss. There are many spiritual practitioners in this world with damaged meridians, and many of them are my friends. If I had a way, I would have healed them a long time ago. Why would I wait until now? Old Lin explained. But there's nothing wrong with physical kung fu. You can still reach the peak if you practice it well. Plus, according to your analysis, there might be some unexpected benefits in that stone door. You might even be able to recover your strength, and then you'll be able to dominate the world with both internal and external skills. How could it be that simple? Lin Yi didn't know what to say after listening to Old Lin's words. It was as if practicing physical arts was an easy task for him, and he'd be able to reach the peak in the blink of an eye. But was that even possible? So what? Should I tell you that there's no hope for you and that you should go home and farm? Old Lin rolled his eyes. Look at your Shif. Didn't he also practice physical before spiritual, becoming a dual practitioner? Dual practitioner. Lin Yi sweated. The old man's choice of words was quite bold. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Think about it yourself. Old Lin said. Look at Air Gooden, he's a physical practitioner too, right? Doesn't he look really strong? Can he be replicated? Do you have more of that liquid? Lin Yi rolled his eyes as well. No. Old Lin said straightforwardly. But I can try to make some more, but I won't care if I drink it to death. Lin Yi didn't have any temper left from Old Lin's words, but his mood was much better. All right, old man, I'll pack up and head back. We'll think of something when we get back. It's good that you're open-minded. All roads lead to Rome. Old Lin said. If it really doesn't work out, I'll let Air Gooden accompany you in the martial world. He'll be your personal bodyguard, and you can pretend to be a rich young master. That'll be awesome too. Lin Yi hung up. But Lin Yi had made his decision. It was time to go home. Although he had only been in Songshan for a little more than a month, he had already met a lot of people here. This experience was very precious, enough to make Lin Yi remember it for the rest of his life. There was the pure, beautiful and strong-willed Tang Yun, the miss who was cold on the outside but warm on the inside, the cute, lively Shu. There was also that silly Lingshan who used to go against him, but was now obedient. There was also Guan Xian, Xiao Xiao, Wang Xinyan, Sun Jingyi. Would these people become passers-by in this part of his life? Where would Kong Xiaobo, Fatty Lai, Huaijuan, and Guan Shuamin go after he left? No wonder the old man said that after completing this mission, he could retire peacefully. Previously, he thought that this mission was very simple, but now it seemed that it was not the case at all. Sitting in the familiar villa, Lin Yi was a little saddened. Perhaps he would have to leave tomorrow. Lin Yi remembered a poem. I leave quietly, just like I came quietly. I wave my sleeves, not taking a single cloud with me. Lin Yi felt that it was time for him to talk to the Mississippi. There were some things that had to be said. Before his enemies realized that his strength had disappeared, Lin Yi had to be prepared. At night, the Miss, Yushu, and Tang Yun woke up and came downstairs to see Lin Yi lying on the sofa watching TV, very relaxed. The three of them were a little nervous before, and their mood improved quite a bit.
Lin Yi, are you all right?
Meng Yao and Tang Yun were a little happy.
The injuries on my body are fine now.
Lin Yi only mentioned the injuries on his body. He didn't mention anything about his strength. He wanted to talk about this with the Miss and Tang Yun separately.
That's good.
Tang Yun nodded. What do you want to eat? I'll cook for you? It's okay. I ate a cup of instant noodles before, so I'm not hungry. Lin Yi stood up. Yun, why don't you go home first? You've been out for 3 days. Uncle and Auntie must be worried about you, right? Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words and was a little disappointed. Was Lin Yi kicking her out? Plus, under normal circumstances, Lin Yi rarely called her Yun in such an intimate way in front of outsiders. Tang Yun felt that something was off. She couldn't blame Tang Yun for thinking like that. Lin Yi just woke up, and she wanted to get closer to Lin Yi, but Lin Yi told her to go home. Tang Yun felt wronged, but she was also a little envious of the Miss and Yushu. Okay. But Tang Yun still nodded obediently. I'll ask you out for dinner later. Why don't you go back and tell Uncle and Auntie that you're safe? Lin Yi felt Tang Yun's disappointment and knew that she misunderstood. But there were some things that Lin Yi couldn't explain in front of the 3 of them. Tang Yun heard that Lin Yi wanted to ask her out later, and she was happy again. Okay, I'll wait for your call. Lin Yi's weird actions made Meng Yao suspicious.
After Tang Yun left, the Miss frowned. Why did you let Tang Yun go?
I'd like to invite you out for a meal to celebrate your recovery from a serious illness. After spending 3 days together, Miss and Tang Yun had developed a subtle friendship between them. There's no rush. Lin Yi shook his head, and his expression suddenly became serious. Yao Shu, there's something important I need to tell you. What is it? Meng Yao froze. She didn't think that Lin Yi would talk to her in such a serious tone. Just say it. Yeah, shield bro, your expression is so scary. Yushu also wasn't used to Lin Yi's tone. Ha! Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Then I'll tell you the truth. Although my injuries are healed, I lost my strength. Lost your strength? What do you mean? Meng Yao paused. She didn't understand what Lin Yi meant. To put it simply, I'm like a normal person now. Lin Yi pretended to be relaxed. When I fought with Ma Zhu, I used that ultimate move, but it wasn't an ultimate move at all. I used it with the intention of dying with him. Although I came back to life, that move was a move that would destroy both sides. Ma Zhu was crippled by me, but I wasn't much better off. My strength dropped drastically as well. Chapter 906. Lin Yi resigned. Yeah, what do I have to do to help you recover? Yushu asked anxiously. I've read in martial arts novels that the main character needs to dual cultivate with someone to recover his strength. Is that true? Does he need Yao to sacrifice herself? Puffed. Lin Yi almost burst out laughing at Yushu's words. This girl was a clown. Lin Yi was used to her personality, and he didn't want to part with her. But there were some things he had to make a choice. Shu, don't interrupt. Listen to Lin Yi. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. She couldn't help but think that if it was really like what Shu said, that they had to use that method to help Lin Yi recover his strength, would she accept it? Maybe. After all, he lost his strength because of her. He almost lost his life. So what if she made some sacrifices? It wasn't because of the relationship between a man and a woman, but because a life for a life. It was her compensation to him. Meng Yao comforted herself like that. But why would he stay with her when he had Tang Yun? Meng Yao shook her head and threw those unrealistic thoughts to the back of her head. You've been fooled by those novels. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Those are all excuses the main characters find for their lustful behavior. Ugh. Then are you lustful, shield bro? Yushu asked. Lin Yi couldn't answer that. It was human nature. He didn't want to lie. Shu, what's with all the bullshit? Don't disturb him, let him talk. How can he recover his strength? Meng Yao glared at Yushu as she scolded, annoyed. Oh, okay. Then tell me, shield bro. How can I recover my strength? Yao and I will be your strongest shield. Yushu nodded. How? Lin Yi sighed softly. I haven't found a way to recover yet, so I'm actually resigning today. You are leaving? Meng Yao froze and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Lin Yi's words were too much of a shock to her. She couldn't accept it. Why did he suddenly want to leave when everything was fine just now? Lin Yi nodded. I'm going to find a way to recover my strength. Can't we find it here? Meng Yao was starting to panic. I took Uncle Chu's money and came here to accompany you, but I have lost the ability to protect you. Why should I stay here? Lin Yi shrugged. Don't worry. After I leave, Uncle Chu will find a new follower for you. Maybe he'll be more obedient than me and won't make you angry. Meng Yao wanted to say, I don't want you, I want you. However, the words were stuck at the tip of her tongue, and she couldn't say them. She looked at Lin Yi in a daze, feeling that this was a bit unreal. Was he really going to leave? So soon? Oh, it's fine. You have money anyway. You don't care about that 30,000. You don't need a salary. Yao Yao sis and I will take care of you. Yushu didn't think as much as Meng Yao. She said without hesitation. When you recover your strength, you can ask for a raise. Ha! Lin Yi smiled. Don't say stupid things, Shu. You're not stupid, are you? Yushu looked at Lin Yi in shock. Her eyes were wide open, and she finally lowered her head and didn't say anything. You really want to leave? I know that you don't care about that 30,000. Meng Yao bit her lips and looked at Lin Yi. You said that we're friends. You lost your strength because of us. How could we kick you out just because of that? Do you think that I, Meng Yao, would do something like that? Ha! Lin Yi looked at the Mississippi. He didn't want to leave, but he was clear-headed. I'm the one who asked to leave. It has nothing to do with you. All right, I'll leave first. Before I leave, I need to talk to Tang Yun. You! Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi, wanting to say something. She shut her mouth after seeing Lin Yi get up and walk towards the villa's door. Lin Yi left just like that, disappearing from Meng Yao and Yushu's sight. Meng Yao retracted her gaze. She didn't know if it was melancholy or something else, but she wasn't in a good mood. Meng Yao's good mood from Lin Yi's recovery disappeared at this moment. It was as if she had lost something precious. She had the urge to cry, but when she looked at Shu beside her, she didn't cry. Yao Yao, you have to be strong. How can you cry for a man? If he wants to leave, then so be it. It's not that you want to let him down, it's that he wants to leave. Although Meng Yao said that in her heart, she really felt terrible. Yao Yao sis, is Shield Bro really leaving? Yushu asked. It's true. Meng Yao nodded. But I don't want him to leave. Yushu said honestly. I know, but we can't stop him. Meng Yao shook her head. Not even Uncle Chu? Yushu asked suddenly. Daddy. Meng Yao paused. She suddenly remembered that her dad had found Lin Yi. Would Lin Yi listen to her dad? He should, right? Otherwise, why would he come all the way here for 30,000 yuan and do such a hard job? Meng Yao's eyes lit up at the thought as she stumbled to the phone and dialed Peng Zhan's number. Yao Yao? How's Lin Yi? Is he awake? Peng Zhan had just gotten off work when he received his daughter's call. He didn't hire a chauffeur for the past few days, so he didn't hire a chauffeur. He was used to driving himself. Yeah. Meng Yao nodded. Daddy, but Lin Yi's leaving. He's resigning. Resigning? Why? Peng Zhan blinked. Is it because it's too dangerous? Peng Zhan was worried when Lin Yi was unconscious. This time, Lin Yi was in too much danger. Meng Yao had already told him about the process. Lin Yi almost lost his life. No. His injuries are healed, but he doesn't have his skills anymore. Meng Yao said. He said that he's like a normal person now. He can't protect me and Shu anymore. He's resigning. Chapter 907. Marriage Matters. Peng Zhan arrived at the villa to see his daughter and Shu sitting on the sofa, not watching TV or doing anything else. He couldn't help but sigh. Yao Yao, what happened? We didn't make it clear on the way here. Can you tell me in detail and we can think of a solution together? Daddy. Meng Yao wanted to cry, but Shu was there, and she had to maintain the image of a big sister. She took a deep breath and controlled her emotions, telling Peng Zhan everything that had happened. But Lin Yi didn't go into too much detail, so Meng Yao repeated his words to Peng Zhan, who fell into deep thought as well. I got a general idea of what Lin Yi is thinking from what he said. Peng Zhan sighed. First, Yi wants to leave because he doesn't have the strength to protect you anymore. But that's not a big deal. Being a follower doesn't mean that he needs to protect you. I can hire another bodyguard for you, but that's not a big deal. But the key is Lin Yi's attitude. Whether he's willing to stay or not, I'll have to talk to him about this. Secondly, little Yi is afraid that after he loses his strength, he will attract revenge from his enemies. This problem, if I hire a powerful bodyguard, then it won't be a problem. So, I need to know what little Yi is thinking. Okay. Meng Yao nodded, relieved after hearing her father's words. Yao Yao, didn't you want to kick Lin Yi out before? Peng Zhan couldn't help but tease. Now that Lin Yi is quitting, why don't you agree? Ah. That's different from before. He's our savior now. How can we be ungrateful? Meng Yao said as she looked at Shu. Right, Shu? Yeah. Yao Yao has already decided to marry him. Shu nodded. Meng Yao almost exploded from anger. Why did you have to go along with it? Just say, yeah. Why did you have to say all that bullshit? Yao Yao, come with me, Peng Zhan said after a pause. He stood up and waved at his daughter. Meng Yao blinked. What was it that they couldn't talk about in the living room? There was only Shu in the living room. She wasn't an outsider. Meng Yao, however, saw that her father was already walking towards Lin Yi's room. Meng Yao had no choice but to follow. Peng Zhan walked into Lin Yi's room and waited for Meng Yao to come in before closing the door. Yao Yao, have a seat. Oh, Daddy, what's the matter? You still want to hide it from Shu? Meng Yao looked at her father in confusion. She was afraid that Shu would be unhappy. In the past, Shu would never hide anything from her. Shu, on the other hand, wasn't unhappy at all. She was just a little curious, and after Peng Zhan and Meng Yao entered the room, Shu made her way to Lin Yi's room and listened carefully. Yao Yao, tell Daddy the truth. Do you like Lin Yi? Peng Zhan looked at his daughter and asked after some hesitation. Ah! Meng Yao froze. She looked at Peng Zhan dumbfoundedly and blushed. Dad, what are you talking about? Why would I like Lin Yi? Ha ha! Peng Zhan looked at his daughter's nervous expression and laughed. Then do you want Lin Yi to stay? I do. Meng Yao stuttered. But, what does this have to do with liking Lin Yi? You need to have a good reason if you want Lin Yi to stay, right? Peng Zhan smiled. Lin Yi is a man of integrity. He's injured and can't carry out his duties anymore. That's why he's resigning. Think about it. If we told him that we'd take care of him and let him stay in the villa, with his personality, would he accept it? Meng Yao paused and shook her head slowly. Lin Yi might look shameless sometimes, but he was a man of principle. It would be very difficult for him to stay. I don't think so. Otherwise he would have stayed long ago. So if you want Lin Yi to stay, you need a good reason, Peng Zhan said. But, Lin Yi isn't related to us at all. Why would he stay? Meng Yao was starting to understand what her daddy was saying. If Lin Yi was her boyfriend, then perhaps he'd stay. But was he really? He wasn't. In other words, if Lin Yi becomes a family with us, why would he leave? Peng Zhan looked at his daughter's embarrassed face. He didn't expect her to admit anything, but he could guess what she was thinking. I want you to marry Lin Yi. What do you think? Ha! Meng Yao's eyes widened. She looked at her father in disbelief. She had long noticed that her father's attitude towards Lin Yi was unusual. After the first family dinner, Meng Yao discussed this with Shu. Shu's answer was that either Uncle Chu wanted Lin Yi to be his son-in-law, or Lin Yi was his illegitimate child. Now, it seemed that her father had been thinking about this all along. Meng Yao was shocked. Did her father really want her to marry Lin Yi? Was it true? Then should he agree to it? Meng Yao's breathing quickened. There was a voice in her heart urging her to agree. 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 Isn't this what you want? However, another cold voice sounded. Lin Yi had a girlfriend. Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Meng Yao said. That's just a girlfriend. They're not married yet? Peng Zhan narrowed his eyes. He looked at his daughter and said with a smile that wasn't a smile. You have to fight for it. I just want to ask your opinion. I. Meng Yao blushed. She didn't know how to answer. After a while, she said shyly. Marriage is a big thing. I don't have anyone I like. If Daddy wants to help me, I'll reluctantly agree. Anyway, he saved my life, so I should repay him. Ha ha. Peng Zhan smiled. It seemed that his daughter's attitude towards Lin Yi had changed a lot without him noticing. Then I'll talk to Lin Yi and see what he thinks. Okay. Meng Yao nodded shyly. Chapter 908. What about me? What about me? What about me? Yushu ran in. Yao Yao, you're so mean, how could you forget about me? Meng Yao almost jumped out of her chair, startled by Yushu's sudden appearance. She couldn't hide things like this from Yushu, but Meng Yao was still very nervous right now. Someone barging in just like that was enough to scare her. Peng Zhan, on the other hand, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect Yushu to hear it even though he was trying to avoid her. Haha, how could I forget about you? Peng Zhan smiled as he looked at his daughter's best friend. He knew Yushu's personality very well. She was crazy all the time, but she was very close to his daughter. If it were possible, they'd be good sisters for life. I'm the small wife, right, Yao Yao? You promised me. Don't tell me you're going back on your word now? Yushu seemed to have heard everything Peng Zhan and Meng Yao had said. When did I go back on my word? Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Buy one get one free. I bet that Lin Yi would be very happy. Chu Pingzhan looked at his daughter and didn't see any hidden emotions in her expression. He let out a sigh of relief and smiled. Shu, if you want to get married, and Yao Yao doesn't mind, I don't mind either. But you have to talk to the Chen family yourself. Peng Zhan wasn't a stubborn man. He was just a normal businessman, but for some reason, he'd come into contact with some hidden houses and sects, even higher existences. He didn't have much of an objection to his daughter and Shu marrying Lin Yi at the same time, as long as his daughter was happy. As for Yushu's house Chen, it was up to Yushu herself to convince them. He couldn't help much. Oh, really? Yushu paused, looking at Peng Zhan strangely. She'd always been one to mix truth with falsehood, and this time, she'd used the same tone to speak to Peng Zhan half-jokingly. She wanted to see what Peng Zhan's reaction would be, but Peng Zhan's attitude was completely unperturbed. He'd only asked for Meng Yao's opinion. Peng Zhan smiled and didn't say anything. He stood up and walked out of the room, thinking that it would be impossible for the two of them to be apart for the rest of their lives. It was rare for them to be this close, but Lin Yi was still a problem. Lin Yi had a girlfriend in school. What was his attitude towards her? Chu Pingzhan wasn't sure. It seemed that his daughter had acted a little too late. Lin Yi had only been in Songshan for a little more than a month, but he had already established his own network. Even Lu Tianyi listened to him. Father was right, Lin Yi was a talent, his future was limitless. Zhen Dazhou looked at his son, who had become a eunuch, and Ma Zhu, who had lost half of his arm, in disbelief. How was this possible? Wasn't Ma Zhu a mystic mid-phase peak at the 8th level of his golden shield? How did he get beaten up like this? Wasn't Lin Yi just a mystic early-phase peak? There was such a huge gap between the two, and Ma Zhu had a godly skill protecting him. How did he lose? Yao Wang, how's the situation? Is there any hope for my son to recover? Zhen Dazhou regretted it. If he hadn't wanted to deal with Lin Yi and let Meng Yao and Yushu go after getting the money, this wouldn't have happened. He wasn't willing to accept it, and besides the regret, there was a deep hatred. Lin Yi, Zhen Dazhou, wouldn't have lived in this world if I didn't kill him. No. King Pharmacist shook his head. Although I'm called King Pharmacist, it's only because of my excellent medical skills. Your son's balls were shot by a bullet. Unless I have the ability to make a dead tree bloom and bear fruit, it's impossible for this thing to regenerate. Dad, I don't want to be a eunuch, I haven't had enough fun. Sob sob sob. Zhen Yingjun cried. He hated Lin Yi to the core. Although Lin Yi turned him into a eunuch, it was just a fake one. But now, he was a real eunuch. Although it was all Yushu's fault, Zhen Yingjun hated Lin Yi. If it wasn't for Lin Yi who injured Ma Zhu, Yushu wouldn't have the chance to take advantage of him. In the end, it was all because of Lin Yi. He wanted Lin Yi to die, and he couldn't be more dead. Son, don't worry. Even if I have to go bankrupt, I'll treat you. Zhen Dazhou clenched his teeth. Although he earned a lot of money, he didn't have any descendants. What was the use of money? Zhao Qibing's eyes lit up when he heard that Zhan Dazhou was going bankrupt to treat Zhan Jun. He knew that Zhan Dazhou just got 250 million from Peng Zhan, and he was drooling over it. If he could get this 250 million, the damage from the collapse of the skyscraper would be nothing. Building another grand skyscraper wouldn't be a dream anymore. With that in mind, Zhao Qibing said to Yao Wang, "Yao Wang, can you think of another way? Can you treat Zhan Jun?" I'll think about it. I'll look up some information and see if there's any good way." Yao Wang knew that Zhao Qibing didn't want to give up such a good opportunity to earn money, but he couldn't think of any good way to treat Zhan Jun right now. Although Yao Wang's main purpose was to trick people, there were techniques to it. He didn't just lie randomly. It wasn't wrong for him to treat people more and more sick, but the premise was that he had to cure one disease and create another one. Zhan Juan's current condition made him feel helpless. However, in order to earn money for Master Bing, Yao Wang thought that he should think about it carefully and see if he could come up with a solution. "Okay, thanks for the trouble, Yao Wang." Zhan Dazhou didn't know that Zhao Qibing and Yao Wang wanted to continue scamming money. He thought that after this period of contact, they got familiar with each other and formed a friendship, so Yao Wang couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Sure. Yao Wang nodded.
"Right, Master Ma, what did the boss say?"
Zhan Dazhou turned to Ma Zhu. Ma Zhu was also in a miserable state. His body was covered in bandages. "The boss is fine. My master will send some of his brothers over," Ma Zhu said sadly. He was the youngest and most promising disciple in the sect, and he had reached the 8th level of Golden Shield at such a young age. He was a physical practitioner at the peak of the middle phase of Mystic Division, and he was the hope of the entire sect. Chapter 909. Yao Wang's suspicion: he was crippled. Not only did he lose an arm, but half of his body was also destroyed. Even if the half of his body was not injured, it was still injured by the explosion. He only had the strength of the 3rd level of the Golden Bell Shield left. He could still be a hooligan, but it was impossible for him to be a master. Even if he recovered and started training from the beginning, it would be much more difficult due to the loss of an arm. Plus, even if he started training from the beginning, how long would it take for him to regain his current strength? Luckily, his master heard that he was beaten up like this and said that he would avenge him. His master already promised him that once he arranged things in the sect, he would send a new master over to his boss side and come to Songshan to avenge him. He was going to kill Lin Yi and House Chu. That's good. Dazhou didn't have the strength to deal with Lin Yi at the moment, so he could only rely on Ma Zhu. Ma Zhu had the same hatred as him, and he didn't believe that Ma Zhu would take this lying down. Dazhou pretended to ask casually, "Master Ma, what did your master say about Lin Yi injuring you this badly?" "Humph. Lin Yi is going to die. My master is going to kill Lin Yi and Peng Zhan's families." Ma Zhu didn't hide it and smiled coldly. "They are all going to die." Ma Zhu didn't doubt that Lin Yi and Chu Pengzhan wouldn't die after his master left the mountain. It didn't matter how many helpers they found, they were all going to die. It was hard to say if his master could kill the helpers they found, but no matter how strong these helpers were, they wouldn't be able to kill his master. The reason was simple. His master had completed his Golden Bell Shield, and he had no weaknesses. Even an Earth-class Peak Master's attack wouldn't have any effect on him. Even if Lin Yi's master came and used the same Chi Bomb on him, it wouldn't work. Golden Bell Shield was undefeatable. Ma Zhu's master was called Invincible Gene. Of course, he wasn't called Invincible Gene before, but after completing his Golden Bell Shield, he changed his name to Invincible Gene. Even if a road roller passed by him, he wouldn't be injured, let alone a normal master. Great. If there's anything you need our Zhen family's help with, Grandpa Ma, feel free to let us know. Zhan Dazhou was overjoyed. There was hope for revenge this time. On the other hand, Zhan Jun was overjoyed. Lin Yi was dead this time. We'll talk about this when the time comes. Ma Zhu was frustrated. Even if he killed Lin Yi and Peng Zhan, it wouldn't be enough to compensate for the damage he had suffered. He was crippled, completely crippled. What should he do in the future? But, Ma Zhu is injured like this, but Lin Yi is fine? Zhao Qibing didn't believe that Ma Zhu's master could kill Lin Yi. When Zhan Jun found Ma Zhu, he said that he could definitely kill Lin Yi. What about now? Zhan Jun was crippled, Ma Zhu was also crippled, and these two cripples sent him money again. Although Zhao Qibing could earn a lot of money, he wanted Lin Yi to die more. If Ma Zhu really killed Lin Yi, Zhao Qibing would rather not earn his medical fees, or even give him some money. Logically speaking, Lin Yi should be heavily injured as well, Yao Wang sighed. Yao Wang sighed and said, according to my analysis, Lin Yi's injury this time is very serious and fatal. If he could blow Ma Zhu up like this, he probably isn't any better. If I'm not wrong, his meridians are all broken. Broken meridians? Doesn't that mean he's a cripple? Although Zhao Qibing didn't practice, he understood the situation of a practitioner. Yes. Yao Wang nodded. Even if he's a doctor, I'm afraid he can't recover to his original state. So Lin Yi should be the weakest right now. That makes sense. Zhao Qibing nodded. He was about to say something when he raised his head and saw Zihua walking in. He quickly asked, Zihua, you're back just in time. What did the people you sent out say? Lin Yi seems to be fine. He left House Chu's villa as if he wasn't injured at all, but I didn't see Li Fu. I think he either didn't recover or died. Zihua said. Lin Yi recovered? That's impossible. Yao Wang was shocked. Is his medical skills really that good? How can he recover from such a serious injury? He can use pure qi to heal himself? Could it be that his strength has recovered? Ma Zhu froze and hatred appeared on his face. If Lin Yi was in a miserable state, he would feel better. However, Lin Yi was perfectly fine. This was unacceptable. I'm not sure. Is he really that good? Yao Wang frowned and said in disbelief. Is Lin Yi not human? Fuck, how can he be so strong? Zhao Qibing's eyes widened. Fortunately, he was prepared for this. Lin Yi was the same before. He didn't have much confidence in those who boasted that they could kill Lin Yi in one hit. He was confident that Lin Yi wouldn't die. This guy was like a cockroach that couldn't be killed. No. Yao Wang suddenly slapped his thigh. You said you didn't see Li Fu? Yeah, Li Fu didn't appear. Peng Zhan has been driving by himself these days. Zihua said. Ha 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 ha. I know, this time, Lin Yi is injured too. He doesn't have extra pure qi to heal Li Fu anymore. Yao Wang laughed. I'm afraid that the reason Lin Yi can go out now is because his injuries are healed on the surface. In fact, his strength hasn't recovered yet. If that's the case, then it's a good chance to deal with Lin Yi? Ma Zhu's eyes suddenly burned with hatred. I'm just guessing, but let me give you a piece of advice, Mr. Ma Zhu. With your injuries, you shouldn't fight Lin Yi. Yao Wang shook his head and said faintly, even if his strength hasn't recovered, you've lost most of your strength. You're not much different from him. Don't even talk about Lin Yi. With your current condition, you won't be able to escape even if you're surrounded by a few strong men. Although Yao Wang's words were harsh, Ma Zhu knew that Yao Wang was speaking the truth. He couldn't help but lower his head. Indeed, with his current half-baked strength, he wasn't anyone's opponent at all. Half of his body was broken, and he didn't have any good attacks. He used to rely on his sturdy body to fight randomly, but now, even if he met a few strong men, they could kill him. Because half of his body was no different from a normal person. Chapter 910. Chapter 909. Lin Yi's final decision. Haha, Ma Zhu, aren't we thinking the same thing? Qibing smiled helplessly. Both of my skyscrapers were destroyed by Lin Yi, and even my legs were broken by Lin Yi. Don't I want him dead? I want him dead too. But I know that I can't kill him with my current strength. I can only wait for my father to send a master, or for Lin Yi's other enemies to kill him. Ma Zhu nodded, knowing that Qibing was telling the truth. Does Lin Yi have any enemies recently? At a time like this, shouldn't we let his enemies do it? Qibing turned to Zihua and asked. Other than Jiang Wen, there's only Zhong Pingliang left. Zihua said helplessly. I only know of these two, but Jiang Wen has been quiet lately, and Zhong Pingliang is with you, Master Bing. None of them are a match for Lin Yi. Oh right, when Xiao Ji from the Xiao family came to visit me a few days ago, he seemed to have asked about Peng Zhan and the masters around him. Oh? Then did you receive them? Did you tell him about Peng Zhan? Qibing asked. The Xiao family never had any grudges with us, and our relationship was quite good. I heard that they were about to be kicked out of the noble house list by House Yu, but a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. The Xiao family is still useful, so I didn't neglect them. Zihua said. As for Peng Zhan, Of course I told him. From his tone, it was obvious that he had a grudge against Pengzhan, so I told Xiao Ji about the two masters around Pengzhan. But when Xiao Ji heard that Lin Yi was a mystic early phase, he hesitated and didn't say anything else.
Oh.
How about this? You find a few hooligans to test Lin Yi and see if he still has the strength. If he really doesn't have the strength, we'll spread the news. Qibing thought about it. I don't believe that Lin Yi and Pengzhan don't have any other enemies other than us. It seems like the Xiao family wants to deal with them as well. We just have to sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Yes.
Sihua nodded and left. After leaving the villa, Lin Yi drove to Pengzhan department store. He needed to make some preparations before his date with Tang Yun. Lin Yi didn't hide from the people around the mansion. Lin Yi roughly guessed that they were sent by Zhao Qibing. After Zhao Jun and Ma Zhu were injured, they would definitely go to Zhao Yaowang for treatment. It was normal for Zhao Qibing to send people to spy on him. So the more Lin Yi didn't care about them and acted as if nothing happened, the more he could confuse people and make them think that Lin Yi had recovered all his strength. However, Lin Yi didn't think about Faubert. He neglected the fact that Zhao Qibing had even spied on Faubert. But, even if Lin Yi knew about it, he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. He'd only healed the external wounds on his body, and the internal injuries in his meridians hadn't healed at all. There was no way he could treat Uncle Fu. Lin Yi drove to Pengzhan department store openly to make people think that he wasn't injured. Lin Yi had to hide this news as much as possible before Pengzhan found a useful master. Lin Yi wanted to leave tomorrow, but Zhen Yingjuan's problem wasn't completely solved yet. If Pengzhan didn't find a substitute bodyguard, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to leave peacefully. So Lin Yi could only hold on and be careful to keep a low profile so that others wouldn't be able to use it against him. However, what Lin Yi didn't expect was that Yao Wang had already guessed his true strength and was secretly launching a test plan. Lin Yi parked his car in the underground parking lot of Pengzhan department store and asked the security guard before coming to the jewelry area on the first floor of Pengzhan department store. "Hello, sir. Would you like to choose jewelry?" Lin Yi just arrived in front of a counter called Lu Weishan Jewelry Store, and a shopping guide walked over and asked enthusiastically.
Yes.
Lin Yi nodded. He didn't expect this jewelry store to have such good service. Lin Yi wanted to look around casually, but Lin Yi decided to buy here. In fact, in Pengzhan department store, every jewelry store's goods were similar. The main difference was the service. "Sir, what do you want to choose? Use it yourself or give it to a friend?" The shopping guide asked. "I want to buy a ring for my girlfriend," Lin Yi said.
Ring?
"Girlfriend?" The shopping guide nodded. "Is it a normal gift or a proposal ring?"
A proposal ring.
Lin Yi sighed slightly. She was the first girl who confirmed a relationship with him. Before leaving, Lin Yi made a decision. "Here, sir. Look, these are all wedding rings. What price range do you want? We have rings from thousands to tens of thousands." The shopping guide pointed at a ring in the counter. "Just this one. How much is it?" Lin Yi wasn't good at jewelry, and he didn't know how to choose. He chose a ring that looked like a diamond because Lin Yi heard that the bigger the diamond, the better the diamond.
This one.
The salesgirl jumped.
Lin Yi had his eyes on the treasure of the store, after all.
Her heart jumped. If she sold it, how much commission would she get? She just came to work 2 days ago. If she could really make this deal, it would be a big profit.
What's wrong?
Lin Yi saw the shopping guide hesitating, so he asked.
It's nothing.
The shopping guide shook her head and said, "This ring is the treasure of our store. It's locked in the counter. Please wait a moment. I'll call the manager and ask him to open it for you."
Okay.
Lin Yi nodded. When the shopping guide just wanted to make a phone call, a shopping guide from a store called Yun Guangdu Jewelry looked at the shopping guide in front of Lin Yi with some sarcasm. "You first ask him if he can buy it before you make a phone call. You call all day long. Just the phone bill is a waste." Lin Yi frowned. He thought, "I'm buying jewelry. What does it have to do with her? Is she jealous because I didn't buy it from her store?" However, Lin Yi didn't want to cause trouble at the moment. He also suppressed his anger and didn't say anything. "I'm sorry, sir. Please ignore her." The shopping guide smiled at Lin Yi with a little embarrassment and then continued to call. Chapter 9:11. Something important to tell you. In fact, This Yun Guangdou jewelry saleswoman could tell that Lin Yi wanted to buy it, but she didn't think that Lin Yi could afford it. She just wanted to ruin his business. It's nothing. I'll buy this one. Call the manager to take it out. I don't need to look at it. Just take me to the card. Lin Yi was a bit annoyed, but he was too lazy to argue with her. He was now walking around with the principle of being low-key. Ah, just like that. The saleswoman was shocked. She didn't think that Lin Yi would buy it without even looking at it. She couldn't help but be stunned. Buying such an expensive thing without looking at it carefully? But when she saw the diamond card Lin Yi took out, she immediately understood that Lin Yi had the ability to do so. She secretly rejoiced in her heart. Good people will be rewarded. Her principle of serving passionately was not wrong. And the saleswoman from Yun Guangdou Jewelry was a bit dumbfounded. Those who could take out this kind of diamond VIP card were big clients of the company. These people all had the ability to talk to the higher-ups. Thinking of her sharp words just now, if Lin Yi told the higher-ups of the mall, not only would she lose her job, but even her boss's brand would be removed from the mall. Thinking of this, the saleswoman's face immediately changed. She wanted to say a few words to Lin Yi, but Lin Yi had already turned around to swipe the card. In fact, Lin Yi didn't want to argue with this saleswoman at all. With the 300,000 yuan ring, Lin Yi drove in the direction of the hospital. Tang Yun's house hadn't been renovated yet, so she was still living in the hospital. Lin Yi called Tang Yun and asked her to wait for him at the entrance of the hospital. When Lin Yi arrived at the hospital, Tang Yun had already come out and stood at the entrance. The breeze gently blew her hair and skirt. Under the sunset, she looked like a silhouette of a beautiful girl, just like the first time Lin Yi saw her. Who? Lin Yi took a deep breath. He had made up his mind, but Lin Yi didn't know Tang Yun's decision yet. However, no matter what Tang Yun chose, Lin Yi would support her. Yun. Lin Yi opened the window and called Tang Yun. Tang Yun seemed to be in good spirits. She turned around and saw Lin Yi. She couldn't help but smile sweetly. She quickly ran over and opened the door. This feeling is so good. I even thought that the previous 3 days were just a dream. You didn't seem to be injured. Ah. Lin Yi heard Tang Yun's words and couldn't help but smile bitterly. He didn't know how to respond to Tang Yun. He didn't know what to say. What's wrong? Tang Yun saw that Lin Yi's smile seemed to be a bit strange and asked curiously. Nothing. Let's find a place to eat first. What do you want to eat? Lin Yi changed the topic. Okay. Tang Yun nodded. You just recovered from a serious illness. Of course you can eat whatever you want. My mom wanted to barbecue for you, but it can't be done in the hospital. Maybe after the new house is renovated? After the new house was renovated? Where would he be at that time? He would probably be back in his hometown. Then let's have a starry night. Lin Yi hadn't brought Tang Yun to such a high-class hotel before. It wasn't that Lin Yi couldn't afford it. It was that Lin Yi wasn't a person who cared about extravagance. He wasn't very interested in these high-class hotels. But today, it was his and Tang Yun's last dinner. It was a farewell dinner. Lin Yi wanted to eat solemnly. Even if Tang Yun didn't agree with his decision, it would still be a beautiful memory for him. Seeing Lin Yi drive the car into the parking lot of the Starry Night Hotel, Tang Yun was a bit surprised. This place is very expensive, right? Why are we here all of a sudden? It's just the two of us. We can just eat something simple. Didn't you say that I just recovered from a serious illness? Then let's come here to celebrate. Lin Yi said. If that's the case, okay. Tang Yun was a bit distressed. She wasn't a greedy and vain girl. Her personality was completely different from her mother. From Tang Yun's perspective, even if you were poor, you had to have a backbone. Lin Yi asked for a small private room. Because it was an ordinary private room, he didn't need to make a reservation in advance. The best hotels Tang Yun had been to were the Pengzhan Business Hotel and the Starlight Hotel that Miss had treated them to. Lin Yi passed the menu to Tang Yun. Tang Yun flipped through the menu and was shocked. The dishes inside were really expensive. The price of an ordinary dish was enough to eat a meal outside. Tang Yun really didn't dare to order it. She hesitated for a bit and returned the menu to Lin Yi. You can order it. Ha! Lin Yi knew what Tang Yun was thinking. He casually ordered a few dishes and sent the waiter out. He came here mainly to have a showdown with Tang Yun, not to eat. Waste of money. Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi and pouted. Although she knew that Lin Yi could earn money, she didn't like to waste it. Money could be spent in the right place, but a meal like this didn't necessarily taste good. Tang Yun's heart ached when she spent a lot of money.
Ha, I'm not married yet and you're already controlling me?
Lin Yi laughed. How about it? Do you want to be controlled? Tang Yun's beautiful eyes widened as she looked at Lin Yi. Ha, okay, as long as you are willing to control me.
When Lin Yi said this, although he was smiling, it was a little sad. Only if you don't want me.
Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's reply and was a little proud. I'm afraid that you don't want me. Lin Yi's expression became serious as he said solemnly.
Tang Yun froze and looked at Lin Yi in surprise.
Although Lin Yi's words were a joke, Lin Yi's expression made Tang Yun confused. Why are you so serious? Lin Yi just wanted to answer, but there was a knock on the door and the waiter began to serve the dishes. The dishes Lin Yi ordered were all simple stir-fried dishes, nothing complicated. It didn't take long for everything to be served. This was also Lin Yi's intention. The goal was to prevent the waiters from interrupting him and Tang Yun's conversation. Tang Yun, I asked you out this time because I have something very important to tell you. Lin Yi waited for the waiter to leave and said. Chapter 9:12. I do. Tang Yun was a little perturbed. Could it be that Lin Yi didn't want her anymore? His relationship with Meng Yao and Yushu was getting better and better, and she couldn't compare to them at all. It was possible that Lin Yi asked her out to break up with her. Plus, it was the first time Lin Yi asked her out to eat at such a high-class restaurant. This made Tang Yun's heart beat faster and faster.
Yun, actually, my injuries aren't completely healed.
Lin Yi decided to make it short. He didn't need any foreshadowing. Tang Yun knew about his injuries from Meng Yao and Yushu, so Lin Yi only needed to get to the point. Although my external injuries are healed, my strength is gone. Ah? Would that be a big deal? Will it be dangerous? Tang Yun was shocked and asked subconsciously. She didn't expect that Lin Yi wanted to talk to her about this. Although, it wasn't that Lin Yi wanted to dump her, but the fact that Lin Yi was talking about his injuries in such a serious manner meant that it must be very serious. So Tang Yun was very worried. It won't be dangerous because of my injuries, but if my enemies know that I've lost my strength, I'm afraid that I'll be in danger. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Ah, then why are you telling me? You shouldn't tell anyone. Tang Yun was shocked. But I won't tell anyone, I'll keep your secret. Ha! Yun, you misunderstand. Lin Yi smiled. Seeing Tang Yun's nervous reaction calmed him down a lot. Tang Yun cared about him. Misunderstand? Tang Yun paused. Yes, I'm telling you this because I've already resigned from Meng Yao. I won't be their bodyguard anymore. Lin Yi said. Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words and was slightly surprised, but she was happy. Although Lin Yi had lost his strength, he had left Meng Yao and Yushu. Wasn't this what she wanted to see? Where will you live in the future? Tang Yun's face reddened. Why don't you move in after my new house is renovated? Haha. Lin Yi looked at the shy Tang Yun and his heart skipped a beat. It wasn't easy for the conservative Tang Yun to say something like this.
However, Lin Yi could only shake his head. I've said it before.
If I don't recover my strength, my enemies might come looking for me. I can't drag you guys down with me. Then you mean? Tang Yun suddenly felt uneasy, as if something big was about to happen. The joy of Lin Yi not being Meng Yao's bodyguard vanished in an instant. I'm leaving Songshan, going back to my hometown. Lin Yi was a little sad when he said this, but he still had to say it. The music ends and the people leave. This was the law. You don't want me anymore? You really don't want me anymore? Tang Yun felt as if her heart was hit by a hammer. It hurt so much. Although she had thought about what would happen if Lin Yi didn't want her anymore, she didn't think that this day would come so soon. It's not that I don't want you anymore. It's that you don't want me anymore. Lin Yi was shocked by Tang Yun's reaction. In his memory, Tang Yun was a strong person. I don't want you anymore? Why wouldn't I want you anymore? Tang Yun wanted to cry. She didn't understand what Lin Yi meant and thought that he was making excuses. I don't have my strength anymore. I won't be as famous as I am now. I'll be very poor. Do you still want me? Lin Yi could basically confirm Tang Yun's feelings. It seemed that he didn't buy the ring for nothing. However, there were some things that needed to be said clearly. Lin Yi, I'm going to bite you to death. Tang Yun was panicking. She stared at Lin Yi with her big teary eyes. In your eyes, am I someone who despises the poor and loves the rich? Am I that bad? That's my mother, not me. Tang Yun was a little angry. He actually used her mother as a comparison. But Mrs. Tang did make Tang Yun worry a lot. Ah. Lin Yi sighed. He had to tell Tang Yun the worst possibility. After all, Tang Yun was a girl from the big city. He didn't know if she could handle the boredom in the village. It's very remote. There are no tall buildings there. It's not as prosperous as the city. There aren't even cars. A lot of people don't have telephones. They communicate with each other by shouting. The houses are very old. There's no heating in the winter. We have to burn our own firewood. There's no modern washroom. There's only public washroom. You're a girl. Can you endure all this? Of course I can. Don't forget that my family used to live in a bungalow in the slums. We also have to burn our own firewood in the winter. There's no independent washroom. It's also a public washroom. What you said is perfect for me. It's like it's tailor-made for me. Tang Yun was so excited that her words became incoherent. She finally found a sense of superiority over Miss. Haha. But, if I can't recover my strength in this lifetime, you'll have to stay with me in the village for the rest of your life. Are you really willing? Lin Yi heard Tang Yun's words. He was very touched. I'm willing. Tang Yun nodded firmly. She didn't care if Lin Yi had strength or not. She didn't care if Lin Yi had money or not. She only cared about Lin Yi as a person. Okay, then I'll go back first. You can finish high school or university here. Then you can come find me. Consider it as giving yourself some time to calm down. I hope you're not impulsive, Lin Yi said rationally. I'm not impulsive. Tang Yun shook her head. Tang Yun shook her head. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. But I do need to settle my parents down. I'm marrying into a rural area. I need to comfort them. But, are you just brushing me off? You don't want me anymore, do you? Tang Yun gradually regained her calmness. She looked at Lin Yi. She wanted to see if he was lying to her. He wanted to comfort her first and then leave. Ha! Lin Yi suddenly took out a small box and put it in front of Tang Yun. No, I've thought about it for a long time before I said this to you. This is for you. Tang Yun paused. But she couldn't suppress the excitement in her heart. Although she hadn't opened the box yet, she had seen similar scenes in dramas. Could it be a wedding ring? Chapter 9:13. Was it a coincidence or a plan? It's so beautiful. Tang Yun looked at the huge diamond on the ring in surprise. She couldn't contain her joy. You! Aren't you going to say something? Ha! Lin Yi took out the diamond ring and looked at Tang Yun. Are you really willing to come find me? I'm willing. Tang Yun nodded shyly. At this moment, she was like a bride who is about to enter the hall of marriage. Lin Yi put the ring on Tang Yun's finger and felt relieved. Although he lost his strength, he didn't know how his old man would react when he brought home a wife. Although this meal was a little sad, the atmosphere was very warm. Lin Yi was leaving, but Tang Yun wasn't disappointed. Because in the near future, she would be leaving with him. After the meal, Tang Yun put the ring back into the box before leaving the room. Why aren't you wearing it? Are you regretting? Lin Yi joked. Only an idiot would regret. I'm afraid that people will steal it. Now that you don't have any strength, I need to keep a low profile. I don't want to cause any unnecessary trouble. Tang Yun rolled her eyes at Lin Yi and carefully put the ring away. Ha! Lin Yi thought to himself. What an understanding girl. It would be nice to marry a girl like this, right? Lin Yi paid the bill and left the room with Tang Yun. What he didn't know was that Sihua's people had already made arrangements in the parking lot of Starlight Hotel. Mr. Yang, thank you for your help. Sihua nodded to the manager of Starlight Hotel. Haha, how can I not do my best when it's Master Bing's arrangement? Mr. Yang smiled at Sihua. It's not a big deal, it's nothing. Sihua nodded. All right, Mr. Yang, you can go. There's nothing for you to do here. It's not good for you to be here. All right, I'll be on my way then. I hope Sihua bro doesn't cause too much of a commotion and affect the shop's business. Mr. Yang said. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Sihua nodded. After Mr. Yang left, Sihua got into a Buick MPV on the right side of the parking lot. The windows were covered with black film, so no one could see what was going on inside. In the parking lot, another white Nissan van was also ready. It was a very old and worn-out Nissan van. If one looked closely, they would find that it was actually an assembled car. This kind of car was also very popular with some gangsters. This kind of car was cheap and could carry people. It was the most suitable car for fighting and chopping people. When the police came, they didn't even want the car. They just left it behind and ran, because the cost of a car was only a few thousand yuan. Lin Yi and Tang Yun came to the parking lot and got in the car. Lin Yi was about to start the car when the Jade sent a weak warning signal. Lin Yi and Tang Yun came to the parking lot and got into the car. Just when Lin Yi was about to start the car, the Jade sent a weak warning signal. Lin Yi was about to take a closer look when a white Nissan van stopped behind his car without any warning, completely blocking off his path to reverse. Lin Yi's car was parked in the parking lot. There were cars in front and on both sides, so he could only reverse out from the back. Lin Yi frowned. Why did this person park his car there? Was he doing it on purpose? Lin Yi honked twice to signal that he wanted to leave, but the Nissan van behind ignored him, as if it didn't hear Lin Yi's honk. Without a choice, Lin Yi got out of the car and went to the driver's side of the white Nissan van. He looked inside and saw a bald man wearing sunglasses smoking leisurely. He didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. Even when Lin Yi walked over, he didn't look at him. The warning from the Jade made Lin Yi subconsciously alert. How could it be so coincidental? It made Lin Yi feel that something was wrong. Logically speaking, the people who came here to eat were people of high status. Even if these gangsters were overbearing, they wouldn't cause trouble for no reason. Could it be that these people were plotting something? However, Lin Yi didn't have any strength now. He didn't want to expose his weakness, so he could only endure his anger and knock on the white Nissan van's window. What the fuck? The bald man opened the window and blew a mouthful of smoke on Lin Yi's face. I want to go out. Can you please move the car? Lin Yi had a feeling of being bullied by a dog. In fact, even if Lin Yi lost his strength, there were many ways to kill these ordinary people. In many cases, assassins didn't rely on their own strength to kill people, but on their skills. But in public, Lin Yi couldn't kill these gangsters because of this, right? It would also be difficult for Lin Yi to get away. Go out? Go out for what? I'm waiting for people. The bald man turned a deaf ear to Lin Yi's politeness and directly refused. You wait for people, but I want to leave. Lin Yi didn't expect that he didn't want to cause trouble, but trouble came to the door. I'm waiting. Can't you wait for a while too? The bald man waved his hand impatiently. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and get out of here. Lin Yi frowned. There was a trace of ruthlessness in his eyes. He said, Isn't it wrong for you to do this? I don't want to cause trouble, but don't force me. Lin Yi wasn't a cowardly person. What would people think of him if he were to hold back and let them do what they'd think? The first thing they would suspect would be that Lin Yi had lost his strength. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi retreat? Therefore, Lin Yi couldn't endure it. He could only catch up. No matter how weak he was, he had to pretend. At this moment, Lin Yi suddenly realized how painful it was for someone who didn't have the strength to put on a show. What did you say? We're not leaving yet. After the bald man heard Lin Yi's words, he also became ruthless. He directly pulled out the car key and got out of the car. Following the bald man, 4 or 5 people who looked like gangsters got out of the van. I'll say it again. I don't want to cause trouble today. Don't force me. Lin Yi said faintly. I'm forcing you. What can you do about it? The bald man didn't seem to care about Lin Yi's threat at all. He locked the car and turned around to leave with his people. Lin Yi moved. He moved like lightning and grabbed the back of the bald man's neck. With these fighting skills, Lin Yi could also put them down. Chapter 9:14. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat as he felt that something wasn't right. The baldy's skills weren't ordinary. How could he be an ordinary hooligan? Even though Lin Yi's strength was almost depleted and the injuries in his body hadn't healed yet, his speed and agility weren't as good as before, it was still more than enough to deal with ordinary people. However, Lin Yi's attack didn't even hit the target. What did this mean? Either Lin Yi was weaker than an ordinary person, or the baldy wasn't an ordinary person. Lin Yi knew his own condition very well, so the latter was the only possibility. The Baldy was also a master. Of course, this master wasn't a practitioner, but a master who was much stronger than ordinary people. However, if the Baldy wasn't an ordinary hooligan, why would he appear here? And it was obvious that he was here to cause trouble for him? Apologize. The Baldy looked at Lin Yi coldly. I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. Either kneel down and apologize to me, or I'll let my men beat you until you kneel on the ground. Lin Yi took a deep breath. It was premeditated. The enemy must have planned this. It was too much of a coincidence, as if they were putting on a show. Lin Yi didn't know what to do. Was it sent by Jianghu to test whether he was injured or not? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. It seemed that he couldn't deceive others with just his appearance. If others suspected him, they would use their own methods to test him. It seemed like that was the case now. Lin Yi was in a dilemma. If he endured it, the Baldy would definitely know that he hadn't recovered his strength yet. Anyone who paid attention would be able to see that he wasn't as strong as before. Otherwise, how could he make the Baldy dodge his attack? If he didn't endure it, the Baldy would still know about his strength. However, there was no need to endure it anymore. No matter what, his strength was exposed, and there was no need for Lin Yi to hide anymore. Let's see who will kneel in the end. As Lin Yi spoke, his body moved and he appeared behind the bald man like a ghost. With a swift and fierce chop, the bald man howled and instantly knelt on the ground. These were some of the assassination methods that Lin Yi had used to save his life, including the footwork just now. It was a set of qinggong that Lin Yi almost never used. It was a trump card that he would only use when he had no other choice. Motherfucker, brothers, go! He dared to hit Brother Baldy. Let's cripple him. Several of Baldy's underlings clamored as they surrounded Lin Yi. Can't you tell what's going on? Your boss has already knelt down. A few seconds ago, he wanted me to kneel down. Lin Yi looked at Baldy's subordinates. Drive your car away. I don't want to argue with you. Lin Yi had already exposed his strength. The only thing he could do now was to talk to Chu Pingzhan and ask him to find a bodyguard to replace him. Otherwise, he would bring a lot of trouble to Chu Pingzhan if he stayed in Songshan. Of course, he hoped that these gangsters weren't Jianghu's men and it was just a coincidence. This isn't the time for you to argue. You touched our boss, so you have to stay. One of Baldy's underlings pointed at Lin Yi. Otherwise, we won't be able to show our faces in the future. Fine. Lin Yi had no choice. His strength would be exposed sooner or later. The phantom qinggong and the chop just now could confuse the enemy to a certain extent, making them unable to see his strength clearly. The speed of phantom qinggong couldn't be achieved by those who didn't practice it. However, Lin Yi's technique was an exception. That chop was the most common fighting technique, but there wasn't a trace of qi in it. This way, although the enemy would be suspicious of the chop, they would be afraid of Lin Yi's phantom qinggong. They wouldn't be able to guess Lin Yi's strength in such a short time. When they were suspicious, it would create precious time for Lin Yi. But now, Lin Yi couldn't confuse them anymore in front of so many people. He could defeat these people with fighting techniques and not his strength. He believed that he wouldn't be able to fool those people. Half a minute later, Baldy's underlings were the same as Baldy. They all kneeled on the ground and groaned. Lin Yi didn't do anything to them. He only broke some of their limbs and ribs. This was the punishment they deserved. Lin Yi found the car key from Baldy's hand. He moved his Nissan van away and returned to his car. He drove away. During this time, not a single security guard appeared. This meant that this matter was unusual. Lin Yi had to prepare as soon as possible. Phew! Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi, who got in the car unscathed, and let out a sigh of relief. Didn't you say that you lost your strength? You scared me to death. Even if I lost my strength, I'm still a bit stronger than ordinary people, Lin Yi smiled. He didn't want Tang Yun to worry, so he didn't say his suspicions. These people are despicable. Tang Yun didn't know that this was a premeditated provocation. Where are we going now? Tang Yun didn't feel the approaching danger. She was still immersed in happiness. She looked forward to the future and the beautiful days she would have with Lin Yi. A man farming and a woman weaving, holding hands and growing old with him. Let me send you back to the hospital? I still have some things to take care of before I leave. I won't have time to look for you these 2 days, Lin Yi said. Oh! Tang Yun was a bit disappointed, but she didn't say it out loud. Lin Yi had his own things to do. Tang Yun wouldn't bother him like that. Lin Yi stopped the car in front of the hospital. Tang Yun, who was sitting in the passenger seat, didn't want to leave. She held on to Lin Yi's hand. She didn't know when they would meet again. Tang Yun didn't want to let go. Lin Yi was her first love and the firm choice she made in her life. Although it was short, it was unforgettable. Then, I'm leaving. Be careful. Tang Yun knew that this wasn't the time to be affectionate. Although she didn't want to, she still let go of Lin Yi's hand and prepared to get out of the car. Okay, I'll wait for you to find me, Lin Yi smiled. Okay. Tang Yun opened the door and got out of the car. She turned around and quickly kissed Lin Yi's cheek. Then, she turned around and ran away with a red face. Tang Yun had used her actions to prove her sincerity. Tang Yun was a conservative girl. She took the initiative to kiss Lin Yi. In her heart, she already saw herself as his woman. Lin Yi touched the place where Tang Yun kissed and couldn't help but smile. This was a girl who deserved to be protected for life, wasn't she? Chapter 9:15. Revenge must be paid. Not long after Lin Yi left the parking lot of the Starlight Hotel, Zihua got out of the MPV parked in the right corner of the parking lot. Together with Su Jiaonong and the others, they quickly carried Baldi and his men into one of the rooms. In the private room sat Yao Wang and Zhao Qibing. After Zihua and Su Jiaonong carried Baldi and his men in, Yao Wang started checking their injuries. Zihua bro, that kid is too strong. Our brothers got hurt doing things for you. Baldi cried out, trying to take credit. Don't worry, I'll pay you the amount I promised you. I'll even give you some medical fees. Zihua said. Stop howling, shut up if you want to be treated. Baldi shut his mouth when he heard that Zihua was going to give them medical fees. He and his men were a group of desperados, hired by Zihua from another city. Their main purpose was to test Lin Yi. Of course, Zihua didn't tell them about Lin Yi's strength. He only told them to teach Lin Yi a lesson. Baldi, naturally, agreed happily, but he didn't expect to run into a tough opponent. He and his men were all crippled. Of course, what he didn't know was that Lin Yi hadn't recovered his strength yet. Otherwise, they would have died an even worse death. Yao Wang carefully checked the injuries of Baldi and his men. He waved his hand at Zihua. Send them to the hospital, I'm done. Yes. Zihua quickly ordered Su Jiaonong and the others to take Baldi out of the room. After they were gone, Zihua asked, Yao Wang, how is it? Did you notice anything wrong? They're all hard injuries. There's no sign of pure energy damage. Yao Wang said. Lin Yi likes to use pure energy to hurt people. From this, I can tell that Lin Yi's strength hasn't recovered yet. Can you tell me more about what happened when Lin Yi attacked? Yes. Zihua quickly told Yao Wang about how Baldi came looking for trouble, and how Lin Yi made his move. The Medicine King nodded his head and laughed. If that's the case, then if my judgment is correct, Lin Yi's strength is indeed gone. What he had left was just a little bit stronger than an ordinary person's martial arts. It's just a van. If it was the Lin Yi of the past, he would be able to move it with just a push. There was no need for him to look for the key to drive. Does that mean that Lin Yi is really done for this time? Zhao Qibing was overjoyed. It seems like that Ma Zhu has some ability. He did cause some damage to Lin Yi. Does that mean we have a chance? Master Bing, although according to Yao Wang's judgment, Lin Yi has lost his strength, but we shouldn't be impatient. We should let others find trouble with Lin Yi first. We'll just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Zihua said. Let the Shao family be the vanguard. That's right. Then hurry up and spread the news that Lin Yi is injured and hasn't recovered yet, and Uncle Fu is heavily injured as well, and he's about to die. Qibing cackled. Let them have their revenge, let them complain. Yes, Master Bing. I'll go spread the news right now. Zihua nodded, a sinister smile on his face as well. In a beautiful mountain forest, a young married woman in plain clothes sat in a pavilion and played the zither. The young married woman was extremely beautiful, but it was impossible to tell her age from her appearance. She could be said to be in her 30s, or maybe only in her 20s. If it weren't for her fingers moving back and forth on the zither, it would look like a painting from afar. Mountains and rivers, birds, the fragrance of flowers, and a beauty. In fact, it was hard to determine the age of the young woman. The reason why she was called a young woman instead of a young girl was because she didn't have the innocence of a young girl anymore. Instead, there was a sense of maturity and stability. However, if Lin Yi was here, he would probably shout out in surprise. The young woman's appearance was very similar to a person. It was as if they were carved from the same mold. After the song ended, the young woman raised her head sadly and looked at the mountains. Not only was she not intoxicated by the beauty of nature, she sighed with melancholy. Master, Elder Li, who is in charge of the Dark Shadow Group, has something important to discuss with you. A girl in green quickly ran to the pavilion and said respectfully, "Quick, invite him over." The young woman heard the words, Elder Li, and her melancholy face turned into joy. "Yes, Palace Master." The girl in green quickly retreated. After a while, the girl in green walked over with a man in black. The man was about 50 years old and didn't have an outstanding appearance. On the contrary, he was very ordinary. He was the type that couldn't be found in a crowd. "Greetings, Palace Master." The man walked over and saw the young woman called Palace Master. He cupped his fists and bowed. "Elder Li is too polite." Palace Master Su Yi waved her hand, indicating that the man didn't need to be so polite. She asked anxiously, "Elder Li is in such a hurry to see me. Is there something important?" "Yes." Elder Li looked at the girl in green beside him and hesitated. He didn't say anything. Palace Master Su Yi ordered the girl in green, "Little Qing, you can leave first. Guard the mountain path and don't let anyone come near. I have something important to discuss with Elder Li." "Yes, Palace Master." The green-clothed girl nodded and quickly pushed the door open. "Uncle Li, there are no outsiders here. What happened?" Palace Master Su Yi stood up. She seemed to be very close to Elder Li. Elder Li waited for the girl in green to disappear before he took a few steps forward and came to the pavilion. He lowered his voice, but his expression was still respectful as he said, "Miss, it's about the young miss. What happened? Did you encounter any trouble?" Palace Master Su Yi's face revealed a nervous expression when she heard Elder Li's words. "The young lady has been kidnapped," said Elder Li. However, before he could finish, Palace Master Su Yi interrupted him. "What? She has been kidnapped? Who is it? Is it serious?" Palace Master Su Yi's heart tightened and she quickly asked. Chapter 9:16. She really couldn't let it go. What? There's no one by her side to protect her? What if Jianing Jun takes revenge on her? Palace Master Su Yi wasn't as calm as she was when she played the zither. She was like a girl who lost her sense of propriety. Son-in-law should be able to find someone to protect young miss. When Elder Li said this, even he himself was a little uncertain. "What do we do? Uncle Li, do you have any ideas? Do you have anyone we can use?" Palace Master Su Yi asked hurriedly. "Miss, there's nothing I can do. Ever since old master left, the great elder was afraid that Miss hasn't given up, so he weakened my influence. Although I'm the first elder now, I can only mobilize the Dark Shadow Group that I single-handedly built." Elder Li sighed and said helplessly, "The great elder has shrunk his power, and it's impossible to mobilize experts in the Palace of Darkness without the great elder's approval. But, will she be in danger?" Palace Master Su Yi frowned uneasily. Elder Li wanted to say something but was interrupted by a cold snicker. "Humph, how can you be so impatient? You don't look like a palace master at all." An old woman in her 60s suddenly appeared at the side of the pavilion. She looked at Elder Li and Palace Master Su Yi sternly. "Supreme Elder, why are you here?" Palace Mistress Su Yi was startled by the sudden voice. "Greetings, Grand Elder." Elder Li cupped his fists and bowed to the Grand Elder. "I'm sorry, Palace Master. The Grand Elder insisted on coming up. I didn't dare to stop her." Qing shrunk back in fear. Palace Master Su Yi shook her head. How could she blame Qing now? Little Qing was only her personal maidservant. How could she dare to stop the Grand Elder? You're the Palace Master. You need to act like one. Don't think that I don't know about you using Elder Li's Dark Shadow Group to investigate the secular world. I just turned a blind eye to it." The Grand Supreme Elder looked coldly at Palace Master Su Yi. "It's been so many years, yet you still can't let it go? Grand Elder, she is my daughter after all. The blood of our Dark Phoenix clan flows in her." Palace Master Su Yi was like a child who had done something wrong.
She didn't dare to look the Grand Elder in the eye.
Humph. Daughter? It's just a little vile spawn.
This kind of impure bloodline is nothing more than a disgrace to us ancient martial arts cultivators.
The Grand Supreme Elder snorted. You still have the nerve to mention such a big scandal? Do you want the Palace of Darkness to take this bastard back? Let the Heavenly Elixir sect laugh at us? Palace Mistress Su Yi, who was called Wanner, didn't say anything. She lowered her head, feeling wronged. Humph, if you had married the second young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect, we wouldn't be in such an awkward situation now. Would we be laughed at by the other sects? At this point, the Supreme Elder seemed to have touched upon a sad past. He coldly snorted and said to Wanner, in the future, you'd better calm down and concentrate on cultivation. Break through the Earth rank and reach the Heaven rank within 10 years. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing that adulterer and little bastard. Then the Grand Supreme Elder floated away, leaving Palace Master Wanner with a face full of grievance.
Miss, I really can't do anything.
I'm sorry. Elder Li sighed. The Grand Supreme Elder is doing this for the Palace of Darkness. Although she is an extremely snobbish person, she has never married. She has dedicated her entire life to the Palace of Darkness. She is Madame Dowager's subordinate and they are like sisters. I am 1 generation lower than her. I know. But I really can't let it go.
Palace Master Wanner couldn't help but shed a line of tears. Miss, there is something that I don't know if I should say.
Elderly hesitated and said, Uncle Li, just say it. What can't you say?
Palace Master Wanner looked at Elderly in confusion.
Miss, the Grand Supreme Elder is actually disappointed that you didn't live up to his expectations. If you really break through to Heaven rank within 10 years, our Palace of Darkness will have 2 Heaven rank masters. At the Heaven rank conference, our Palace of Darkness will also have a place. At that time, if you recognize the little miss, who will laugh at our Palace of Darkness?
Who will dare to laugh at our Palace of Darkness?
I'm afraid the Grand Supreme Elder won't be able to say anything else, right? Elderly hesitated. But, breaking through to Heaven rank is easy to say, but how difficult is it to actually do it?
Palace Master Wanner nodded and sighed.
Miss is talented and smart, and has the blood of the Dark Phoenix. It's only a matter of time before she breaks through to Heaven rank. Elderly said.
Uncle Li, help me keep an eye on her.
Palace Master Wanner said. Don't worry, Mississippi taking care of the little miss is also my responsibility. Elderly nodded. After sending Tang Yun off, Lin Yi drove back to the villa. On the way, he wanted to give Peng Zhan a call. He had something important to discuss with him, but before he could make the call, Peng Zhan's call came in.
Hello, Uncle Chu.
Lin Yi picked up. Yi, where are you? Yao Yao said you went on a date with Tang Yun?
Peng Zhan asked. I'm on my way back to the villa, what's up?
Lin Yi didn't catch the hidden meaning in Peng Zhan's words. He was in a rush to tell Peng Zhan about the exposure of his strength, so he didn't consider the meaning in his words. It's nothing. We'll talk about it when you come back? Peng Zhan didn't say much after hearing that Lin Yi was coming back. All right. I want to talk to you too. Lin Yi paused and nodded. Although Lin Yi didn't know why Peng Zhan was looking for him, it had to have something to do with the disappearance of his strength. Lin Yi parked the car in the villa's yard and walked in. He saw the Miss and Shu watching TV on the sofa in the living room, but the show they were watching was the housewife training program that they didn't want to watch the most. But now, the two of them were watching it with great interest. Lin Yi couldn't understand the interests of these two girls. They were jumping around a little too much. The sound of Lin Yi opening the door attracted Peng Zhan's attention. Peng Zhan walked out of Lin Yi's room and nodded at Lin Yi. Yi, you're back. Chapter 9:17. Peng Zhan's terms Mingyao blushed, thinking that Lin Yi already knew what her father wanted to talk to him about.
That was why she suggested going into the room.
Okay. Peng Zhan nodded and entered the room with Lin Yi. Peng Zhan closed the door and gestured for Lin Yi to sit. Yi, sit anywhere you like. We're family. No need to be so formal. Okay, Uncle Chu. Lin Yi was used to Peng Zhan's friendliness. He sat in front of him. Yi, I heard from Yao Yao that you've lost all your strength, so you're resigning. Is that true? Peng Zhan asked. Yes, Uncle Chu. To tell you the truth, I'm not much stronger than a normal person right now. I'm afraid I can't even protect myself. I don't have the strength to protect Yao Yao and Shu.
Lin Yi nodded calmly. So I have no choice but to resign.
I see.
Peng Zhan nodded. It's fine if you lose your strength. Being a normal person isn't that bad.
Oh, do you like business? Business?
Lin Yi paused, not understanding what Peng Zhan meant. It's all right. All roads lead to Rome. You can be successful in business as well, Peng Zhan said. You're the second biggest shareholder of Peng Zhan Industries, right?
Learning how to do business isn't a bad thing. I'll retire one day. But Peng Zhan Industries still needs to be passed down.
Lin Yi paused after hearing the words. Peng Zhan didn't say it out loud, but the meaning behind his words was clear.
Lin Yi wasn't an idiot.
Peng Zhan was hinting that he could be nurtured as an heir.
Uncle Chu, Peng Zhan Industries needs to be handed over to Yao Yao. How could we hand it over to an outsider?
Lin Yi shrugged with a smile, rejecting Peng Zhan's suggestion.
Haha, Peng Zhan smiled and changed the topic. What do you think of Yao Yao? Yao Yao? It's pretty good.
Lin Yi looked at Peng Zhan suspiciously, not knowing how to answer the sudden question.
Oh, then do you like Yao Yao?
Peng Zhan didn't get anything from hinting at Lin Yi about the group, so he decided to get straight to the point.
Quack.
Lin Yi froze, his eyes wide. Peng Zhan's question was a little too much for Lin Yi to answer. Of course he did, but before Lin Yi understood Peng Zhan's intentions, there were some things he couldn't say.
Yao Yao is cute and pretty.
She's the campus belle, and also a goddess in the eyes of many guys. Lin Yi changed his way of saying it, but he also hinted that he thought the same way. Outside Lin Yi's room, two little spies had already appeared and were monitoring the conversation in the room. When Peng Zhan asked the question, Ming Yao's heart tightened, and her breathing quickened. Oh, Yao Yao, what do you think Shield Bro would say?
Yushu asked.
Don't say anything. Meng Yao was afraid that Yushu would interrupt and miss Lin Yi's words. But when Lin Yi's answer stopped in Meng Yao's ears, she was a little happy, but also a little disappointed. Why did Lin Yi always change the topic? Why did he have to talk about other people whether he liked her or not? Haha, what about you?
Peng Zhan looked at Lin Yi.
I think any guy who's been with her for a long time would like her.
Lin Yi shrugged.
Peng Zhan didn't give up, so he could only answer like this.
All right, I'll put it another way.
Peng Zhan saw through Lin Yi's thoughts. The future of Peng Zhan Industries, I want to hand it over to you, and let you bring it to greater heights.
Lin Yi naturally understood what Peng Zhan was getting at.
No wonder Peng Zhan had brought up the group before, and now that he was bringing it up, Lin Yi knew everything.
Uncle Chu, I have a girlfriend.
Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I think you know that I just went on a date with her, and I gave her an engagement ring.
Oh.
Peng Zhan froze after hearing Lin Yi's words. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be serious about Tang Yin. This was going to be difficult. His daughter could accept Shu, but could she accept Tang Yin? Uncle Chu, actually, I know that you care about me, and I'm very grateful for that. Lin Yi said, but marriage is a big thing, and we still need the consent of the person in question.
I think that Yao Yao doesn't like me.
Maybe under your suggestion, Yao Yao will agree to this out of gratitude towards me. This is unfair to her. Also, it's unfair to Tang Yin. Lin Yi really didn't think that Miss would like him. Of course, she was grateful. As for the jealousy with Tang Yin, it was also because of Shu's instigation. From Lin Yi's point of view, Mrs. feelings towards him were more of the gratitude towards him for saving her life, and the sense of security that living with him gave her.
Meng Yao's tears gushed out in an instant. Who said that I don't like him?
I like him, I like him. Meng Yao wanted to rush into the house and explain it to Lin Yi, but she couldn't muster up the courage to do so. Lin Yi's attitude had already said everything. He wouldn't give up on Tang Yin, so what else could she say?
Wasn't that asking for humiliation?
Was she going to beg Lin Yi to let her be his mistress, and Yushu be his mistress? Miss couldn't do such a thing, nor could she say it out loud. From what I see, Yao Yao and Tang Yin's relationship isn't bad. Peng Zhan didn't think that Lin Yi would reject it so firmly. Although, Peng Zhan didn't think that his daughter would fight with other girls for Lin Yi. From his point of view, a good man should be loyal, just like himself. But for the sake of his father's promise, and for the sake of his daughter's happiness, Peng Zhan's words revealed a hint of compromise. In other words,
If Tang Yin and Meng Yao didn't mind, he wouldn't mind either. Lin Yi was stunned. He really couldn't understand how he could make Peng Zhan look at him in such a different light. From the beginning, Peng Zhan had been very polite to him. It didn't seem like the relationship between an employer and an employee at all. Yes, Lin Yi was really curious. He didn't know what kind of secret was hidden in this. The old man didn't say anything, and Peng Zhan was also vague about it, but Lin Yi felt that there must be something he didn't know. Chapter 9:18. Never liked him. Lin Yi, you're a smart man. I think you understand what I mean. Chu Pengzhan looked at Lin Yi and said, Uncle Chu, why are you so nice to me? Lin Yi couldn't help but ask. There's a reason behind it, but it involves some secrets, and I can't reveal it right now. Pengzhan smiled bitterly. His father didn't tell him the exact reason either. Pengzhan could only remember his father telling him firmly that if he wanted to see his wife again, if he wanted House Chu to prosper, then he'd have to let Yao Yao keep Lin Yi. Pengzhan didn't know why his father was so certain, either. He'd asked him about it, but his father had told him that it wasn't time yet. Hee. Lin Yi sighed and smiled. I appreciate Uncle Chu's trust and love, but even if I agree, I don't think Yao Yao will agree. This time, I'm going back to my old home to find a way to recover my strength. Tang Yun will go with me. Yao Yao is the daughter of a rich family. How could she stand that kind of environment? A straw hut, a public toilet, warm in summer and cold in winter. It's really hard. Plus, I don't want to hurt Tang Yun. Pengzhan didn't think that Lin Yi would still insist on leaving. He wanted Lin Yi to stay because he wanted Lin Yi to stay in Songshan, but the thought of his daughter suffering with Lin Yi put him in a difficult position. Would his daughter agree? Meng Yao really wanted to rush into the room and tell Lin Yi, I can handle it. After hearing Lin Yi's words. Why can't I? If Tang Yun can do it, so can I. However, Lin Yi's last sentence stopped the eldest miss in her tracks and stopped the impulse in her heart. Lin Yi didn't want to hurt Tang Yun. Yes, even if she could accept Tang Yun and become Lin Yi's concubine, would Tang Yun be willing? Why would others accept him? Shoo, let's go. It was Meng Yao's first time confessing to Lin Yi through her father, only to be rejected mercilessly. The Miss Fragile Heart was very, very hurt. Yao Yao, Shield Bro seems to like you. Don't you want to try harder? Yushu could tell that Meng Yao was sad. Humph. Who does he think he is? You want to have 3 or 4 wives. Dream on. Meng Yao stomped her foot. Let him go, he'll go. Who cares about him? He's just a bodyguard. I'll ask Daddy to find me someone more powerful. Someone 10 times more powerful and handsome than him. I don't like him at all. What a narcissistic fellow. Oh, Yao Yao sis, although it feels good to lie to yourself if you want to cry, just cry. Yushu is your strong shield. I'll always be with you. Yushu said. Cry. Ha. Why am I crying? Lin Yi's blind, why would I cry? Meng Yao stumbled up the stairs and fell onto the bed. She couldn't hold it in any longer, and tears started flowing down her cheeks uncontrollably. Yushu stood at the door, deep in thought. Actually, Yao Yao's problem wasn't a problem at all. She just wanted to be a small wife, and everything would be fine. Yao Yao sis, maybe I should go talk to Tang Yin? Yushu asked carefully. Talk about what? Do you think I need someone else's charity? Meng Yao couldn't hold it in anymore. She hugged Yushu and started sobbing. Don't cry, Yao Yao, Yushu supports you. Yushu said quickly. Shoo. Was I wrong from the start? Meng Yao asked blankly after crying for a while. She was tired from crying. I don't know, but I don't think you should give up, Yao Yao. Yushu said. So what if you don't give up? Meng Yao shook her head. All right, Shu, I'm fine. I'm happy again. Let's not talk about him anymore. Yao Yao, you're lying. Yushu said. I don't like him at all. I've never liked him, not now, not in the past and never in the future. Meng Yao shook her head firmly. Oh, forget it. I still want to help you. Yushu shook her head disappointedly. You have a way? Meng Yao paused and looked at Yushu. You don't like him, what's the point of me saying it? Yushu shook her head again. Then just say it. Let's just pretend we're just chatting, okay? It's pointless now anyway. Meng Yao said. Who knows? Maybe you'll like him in the future.
just treat it as a practice? Oh, actually, I think the most important thing now is to make Shield Bro stay. Yushu said. Otherwise, if Shield Bro and Tangyin hide in the mountains, we won't be able to find any opponents. Ugh. But, doesn't he have to go back? Meng Yao asked. But, as long as Shield Bro recovers, he can come back. Yushu said. So we can talk to him, as long as he recovers, he'll come back to the villa. That way you'll have a chance. Yes, you'll have a chance. Meng Yao was a stubborn person. But how do you know that he'll definitely recover? I'm a prophet, Shu. Although I'm a crow sometimes, my words are very accurate. Yushu said with self-awareness. Oh, up to you. I don't really care. Meng Yao didn't know why, but she was secretly happy in her heart. She didn't show any expression on her face. Don't worry, Yao Yao. Leave it to me. Yushu said confidently. In the study downstairs, Lin Yi didn't know that the miss overheard his conversation with Peng Zhan. But even if he knew, Lin Yi would still say it. Although it was a little hurtful, Lin Yi had to do it. He had a good impression of Meng Yao and Yushu. It was a fact. But he couldn't hurt everyone because of the truth. Wouldn't he cause trouble for Meng Yao if he stayed in the villa? If his enemies came looking for him, they would definitely be dragged into this. This wasn't something Lin Yi wanted to see. So, no matter what, Lin Yi had to leave. Don't you want to reconsider? Peng Zhan looked at Lin Yi with a bitter smile. He didn't expect that Lin Yi wouldn't budge even after he laid his cards on the table. Uncle Chu, actually, I want to stay here too. Lin Yi shrugged. But I have a lot of enemies. They'll come looking for me soon. If that happens, I won't be able to protect myself, and I won't be able to protect Yao Yao and Shu. Wouldn't that be harming everyone? Chapter 919. The Forces That Wanted to Make Trouble. Uncle Chu, even if you hired a bodyguard, I can't just stay in the villa for the rest of my life. I can't just stay there and be protected by others, can I? Lin Yi said helplessly. I have to regain my strength. That's why I'm resigning and looking for a way to recover my strength. You're right. A man's ambition is to travel far and wide. Peng Zhan nodded. Can't you recover your strength in the villa? It's very difficult, I don't have a way now. I can only go out and look for a way, Lin Yi said. If that's the case, then I won't stop you. Peng Zhan saw that Lin Yi had made up his mind and didn't try to persuade him anymore. But, I hope that after you leave, you can treat this place as your home, a place where you can hide from the wind. I will, Lin Yi nodded. Yao Yao Shu and I will always be good friends. Haha, good. Peng Zhan didn't say anything else. After all, it wasn't his place to interfere with young people's business. Since things had come to this, Peng Zhan could only wish Lin Yi well. I hope you can recover your strength as soon as possible. Thank you, Uncle Chu. Lin Yi smiled bitterly in his heart. Recover his strength? He didn't have much confidence in himself. Leaving the villa, in his old man's words, was just going to seek refuge. How could it be that easy to recover strength? There were so many spiritual practitioners in the world who lost their martial arts because their meridians were damaged. They had to accept the fact that they were useless and practice physical arts again. However, because of their injuries, even if they started training again, it would be difficult for them to achieve much. Most of them stopped at the peak of the late phase of the golden class, and they never broke through again in their lives. It was easy to practice physical arts at the beginning, but once you reached a certain bottleneck, it was hard to break through. Body refinement, at the limit, was very slow to improve. For people like Ma Zhu, unless they were talented and had a good physique, they wouldn't be able to reach such a level. Thinking about it, Ma Zhu must be even more depressed than him. He could still practice physical arts with his meridians broken. But what about Ma Zhu? Perhaps he would have to go back home to farm. However, Uncle Chu, I feel that my enemies have noticed that I have lost my strength, so I think you should find a bodyguard to replace me as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will be in trouble. Lin Yi said with a serious look and continued. After all, many of my enemies are also your enemies. Many of them became enemies with me because they wanted to deal with Yao Yao. If they can't find me, I'm afraid they will turn back to deal with you and Yao Yao. I know that. Peng Zhan nodded. I've already contacted Fauberts Jr. He's also a bodyguard for someone. His employer left the country a while ago, but he's currently working as a cash escort for a wealthy businessman. It's a one-time mission,
and he'll be able to come back after the mission is over. But he gave me the number of a bodyguard company that specializes in providing temporary bodyguards for rich people. I hired one there to temporarily replace him. Oh, what's his strength? Lin Yi asked. It said that he's a mystic, Peng Zhan said. In terms of strength, there's no problem. As long as it's not a deep grudge, he should be able to intimidate those enemies. Lin Yi thought about it and asked, when will he come? In these 2 days, Peng Zhan said. If not today, then tomorrow. All right, I'm relieved. Lin Yi nodded. Peng Zhan left the villa after the conversation with Lin Yi. There were a lot of things to do in the company these 2 days, and he had no time to spare. However, Lin Yi didn't see the Miss and Shu come downstairs the whole night. Lin Yi guessed that they were catching up on sleep because they didn't sleep well while taking care of him for the past few days. The next morning, Meng Yao and Yushu came downstairs hand in hand. The Miss was no different than usual, and Lin Yi didn't suspect anything. Lin Yi, when are you leaving? Meng Yao asked. In these 2 days, I'll leave when Uncle Chu's bodyguards arrive. Lin Yi said, a little sad. Are you leaving from the villa? Meng Yao asked. I think so. Lin Yi nodded. Then tell me and Shu, we'll send you off. Meng Yao said. All right. Lin Yi looked at Meng Yao curiously. The Miss seemed a little too calm, wasn't she? Was she different from yesterday? In the villa district, Xiao family had moved into the newly purchased villa. Xiao Ji was glaring at his wife Go Huli. Look at what you've done. What kind of people did you offend? Thank God I didn't listen to you and sent Uncle Pai to cause trouble for Peng Zhan. Otherwise, it would be our Xiao family in trouble. What's wrong? Wasn't it my second brother's idea? Why did it have to do with me? Go Huli felt wronged. Didn't we investigate it? In Peng Zhan's house, there's a golden class late phase peak physical practitioner called Faubert. Our Uncle Pai is a mystic mid-phase physical practitioner. But other than Faubert, Peng Zhan has another practitioner with him. A mystic early phase peak spiritual practitioner. Xiao Ji said. Thank God I paid a visit to Master Bing, otherwise we'd still be in the dark. A spiritual master at the peak of the early phase of the mystic class is on par with a physical master at the middle phase of the mystic class. If they really fight, they have a physical master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class to help them. House Xiao will be the one at a disadvantage. No way, right? This Peng Zhan, a small businessman, was this strong? How is that possible? Are you sure you're not mistaken? Go Huli was shocked, her mouth wide open in disbelief. How could Master Bing be mistaken? Xiao Ji humphed coldly. That mystic early phase peak spiritual practitioner is called Lin Yi, and he broke Master Bing's legs. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Now Master Bing hates him to the core. How could he have made a mistake about his strength? No way. He even dares to beat up Master Bing? Is he tired of living? Go Huli was shocked. Then what should I do? Wouldn't I be losing for nothing? Then what do you want? He has 2 practitioners with him, and we're just wasting our time fighting him head-on. Xiao Ji was actually quite troubled as well. He'd wanted to squeeze a large sum of money from Peng Zhan, so that Xiao family's business in Songshan would be a lot better off. He didn't expect to find out that Peng Zhan wasn't as simple as he seemed. There were hidden dragons and crouching tigers around him. Chapter 9:20. Xiao family makes a move. Oh? What is it? Xiao Ji paused. Li Fu was injured. We don't know if he's dead or alive, and Peng Zhan's daughter was kidnapped as well. She was rescued by that Lin Yi bodyguard, but that Lin Yi seems to be injured quite badly as well. Xiao Ben grinned. The police have already leaked the news, but it's not a secret to us. Someone dares touch Peng Zhan? Xiao Ji paused at Xiao Ben's words. Who did it? Do they have a master? House Zhen of Donghai. They blackmailed Peng Zhan for 250 million, and they have a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner helping them. Xiao Ben said, I heard that he's injured as well, and is being treated at Master Bing's place. I haven't asked Master Bing about it yet, so I don't know the specifics. But one thing is for sure, this is a great opportunity for our Xiao family. 250 million, that much? Xiao Ji's eyes flashed with desire as he licked his lips. We were thinking of asking for 100 million at first, but we didn't expect them to be even more ruthless than us. Second brother, hurry up and ask around. If Peng Zhan's bodyguards are dead, then it's a great opportunity for our Xiao family to take advantage of them.
Naturally, I know that.
Xiao Ben nodded. I've already sent Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao out to ask around, and I'm sure we'll get some news soon. We can't hide this even if we want to. Wahahaha, the heavens are really helping our Xiao family. Xiao Ji laughed as he looked at his wife. Huli, you've done a great job this time, otherwise Xiao family wouldn't have any reason to ask for money from Peng Zhan.
Then why did you yell at me just now?
Huli was overjoyed to hear that House Chu's bodyguards were gone. Not only could she get revenge for herself, but Xiao family would also get a huge sum of money.
Haha, I didn't understand the situation just now, did I?
Xiao Ji hugged his wife happily. Don't worry, House Chu will definitely be taken advantage of by us this time.
Brother, how much should we ask for this time?
The 100 million we agreed on last time is really not much. Xiao Ben also felt that the Xiao family would most likely get some benefits this time. The Zhan family really dares to demand an exorbitant price. 250 million. Peng Zhan actually gave it to me. We need at least 200 million.
Xiao Ji said.
This Peng Zhan sure is rich. If we don't ask for more, we'll be letting down the good opportunity that the Zhan family has created for us. As the two of them were talking, Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao came back. The moment they entered, Xiao Wangba shouted excitedly. Dad, second uncle, good news.
Super good news. What good news?
Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at each other. They could guess what the other was thinking. Li Fu's life or death is still unknown, and that Lin Yi has lost all his strength. Xiao Wangba said, the news has already spread outside. How reliable is the information? Xiao Ji was delighted and quickly asked. I'm not too sure about that, but Dad, don't you know Master Bing? You can ask him for confirmation. Master Bing is a local tyrant, so he should be able to get the most accurate information. Xiao Wangba said. All right, I'll call Master Bing right now. Xiao Ji nodded and took out his phone to call Master Bing. Qibing waited for the Xiao family's response after Zihua released the news. He didn't think that the Xiao family would be so impatient to call him after just one day. Qibing laughed and picked up the phone. Hello. I'm Zhao Qibing. Master Bing, I'm Xiao Ji from the Xiao family. Xiao Ji was very respectful towards Qibing. He was from a noble house, so naturally, he knew that Qibing came from a hidden noble house, a house even bigger than the noble houses. Qibing was a bastard, but his family was very powerful. Oh, it's Uncle Xiao. What's the matter, Uncle Xiao? Qibing pretended not to know. It's like this. I heard that something happened to Peng Zhan. Xiao Ji had asked Master Bing about Peng Zhan before, and his words revealed his hatred towards Peng Zhan. He wanted to see Master Bing's attitude. If Master Bing wanted to protect Peng Zhan, then Xiao Ji wouldn't do anything to Peng Zhan. However, he didn't expect Master Bing and Peng Zhan to be enemies, and so Xiao Ji expressed his intentions without holding back. Oh, Uncle Xiao, you're asking about this? Qibing thought. As expected. He couldn't wait any longer. But that was good. The more people there were to deal with Lin Yi and House Chu, the happier he would be. He said, that's right, I've already sent people to investigate. Li Fu's injuries are very serious, and he hasn't recovered yet. That Lin Yi has lost all his strength, and has become a normal person. Uncle Xiao, you can deal with them without worry. Haha, is that so? So it's you, Master Bing? Xiao Ji was overjoyed. He was worried that the news wasn't accurate, but now that it was Qibing himself he relaxed. You know the grudge between me and Lin Yi. Now that something like this has happened to him, I want to deal with him as well. Qibing paused on purpose. Zhen Dazhou extorted so much money from Peng Zhan, 250 million. I'm very envious. So I've been thinking about it, and I'm going to try and get some benefits. Is that so? Haha, alright, thank you Master Bing. Xiao Ji quickly hung up and said to Xiao Ben impatiently, Brother, it's Zhao Qibing who sent people to investigate Lin Yi. He found out that Lin Yi has lost all his strength, and Faubert's status is unknown as well. Zhao Qibing is very envious of Zhen Dazhou for extorting 250 million from Peng Zhan, and he wants to get some benefits as well, so we need to act as soon as possible. Is that so? If that's the case, then we need to act as soon as possible. Otherwise, if Peng Zhan gets sucked dry, who do we ask for money from? Xiao Ben nodded. Zhao Qibing will definitely ask for a lot of money. We need to be one step ahead. Yeah, I've already told Zhao Qibing. When the time comes, we'll ask for money first. He won't blame us. Xiao Ji said. Why don't we go now? All right, we'll bring Uncle Pai to Pengzhan now. Xiao Ben gritted his teeth. If we don't make a decision soon, the money will be gone.